the other day I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what, man? I want to be with my boys. I want to be with my boys and girls, you know, and I'm like, I want to be amongst my people. These are my people. This city is my responsibility, and that's how I look at it.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
No, you definitely qualified. You're way past that.
Because the name's on the TV.
You're way past that, dude. Come on. Everything in here is professional.
I like when you call me like, oh, T-ball. I'm like,
yeah.
But it's like, we're boys. I love it. I love it.
You know, that's what they call me at work.
They call you T-ball.
My name tag's T-ball. On patrol.
I guess
so,
that makes sense.
you know, people see that and they're like, oh, I remember. What's your name? Oh, I remember that.
Dude, that's easy.
You know? But I got a couple different nicknames. Holy Roller, T-ball. You know.
Holy Roller.
Yeah.
You're pastor too, right?
Yeah, I'm assistant pastor. Yeah.
Man, that guy does it all.
Yeah.
Well, the definition of relentless you kind of embody. You drove how long?
5 hours, 39 minutes.
And we're here at 7 a.m. So 5 hours. What time did you wake? Did you even go to sleep?
I slept in 20 minutes more than I wanted to. I set my alarm for 1, and then my wife wakes up. She's like, "Oh, it's 1:20. Oh, we're running behind." I'm like, "Baby, do you know how to do math, right? Like we're gonna be all right."
We're gonna be there a lot sooner than I was expecting 9.
Yeah.
You're like 7. I'm like, let's go. I'm up by like 4 every day. So it was.
I'm not a morning person, to be honest with you.
Really?
I'm not. I work till like 3:00 in the morning, and then I sleep until maybe 9, and then I'm up to teach class. 10:30 class at Shark Tank.
I hate to break it to you. Yeah. You're a morning person. 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I guess that still qualifies.
Yeah, that qualifies.
Like brunch time, wake up. Yeah.
So you're gonna get the Relentless Project challenge coin. You know,
sweet. Thank you very much.
Not many have gotten them. No, I'm kidding. If you're on this show, awesome, you're probably embodying a lot of awesome stuff. That's why we're talking. I don't know if you do challenge coins or patches. I'll start getting patches too.
Absolutely. By the way, I just wanted, before I forget, it's something small, but I wanted to actually give you just one of our gym t-shirts. And
it's black.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I love this. Is different for me today, wearing white.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know what size you would be. I knew you were a big dude, but XL.
XL, that's the way to go. Well, I appreciate it.
XL or 2X, I was figuring so.
I'll wear this on the way back.
Sweet. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Shark Tank. Actually,
absolutely.
You know, that's a cool name because everyone knows the Shark Tank drill. Or is that what you would call it?
Yeah.
Do you guys do that? You have to
Matter of fact, we do that. We every time we have a promotion, somebody gets a belt, they have to do the Shark Tank. So that's like a given. And it's in the name. It's kind of like, it was kind of incidental. It actually was founded 15 years ago.
The gym?
Yeah. The gym, yeah. And the name. So before that was called Evo Fight Club.
Well, I guess I should probably introduce you, right? I didn't.
Yeah, sure.
I got so excited. This is the one with Timmy Ball, T-Ball. Yeah. You know, he's in law enforcement, obviously martial arts. Now we know assistant pastor. And we got connected through, Kate and Eric. Shout out to Kate and Eric. All these episodes tend to lead to Kate and Eric now with Seminar Stack.
Good people.
Yeah, I reached out to Adopt a Cop because I wanted to partner with them with the podcast. Because one thing, I mean, if you've said you've listened to some, I heavily believe in training, especially for law enforcement officers. And I feel like I'm one of the biggest critiques in that. And some people, I catch heat from it from the guys and girls at work. But at the same time, it's like you took a job that requires you to be at your 100 at all times. And you're choosing not to train and put yourself in bad positions and put your partners in bad position. And I was speaking with Rob McGow, and he said something that really hit home, and I told him I'm stealing it. He's like, you're in an incident. You're doing something. You're getting choked out. The lights are coming off, and backup arrives, comes out the car. You look at that person, and it's you. are you happy or are you worried?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's a good point.
Be your own best backup.
Yeah. And like be someone else's backup, right?
Yeah.
Like I hope to never need it. But if ever, I hope it's someone far off crazier than me.
Yeah.
By training and means
100%.
because it's like if I couldn't handle this situation,
Things were bad.
I need
bad.
I need the next level up.
Yeah.
I need T-ball.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a matter of fact. Well, it was earlier this week. They called me on the scene. He's like, this guy's got like a judo shirt on and he's a little irate and we might have to arrest him. And it turned out we didn't have to arrest him, but it was like, yeah, he didn't have a judo t-shirt. It was Goju. It was some form of karate. I'm like, it was good.
Potato for these people. Yeah, every time I'm in the gi, I take my top off, go get like food or something.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you do karate?
You do karate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mexican ground karate.
Yeah.
Like Craig Jones calls it that.
Craig, that dude.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to CJI.
Are you? I love the pit idea.
I went last year. It was
wild, right?
Dude, it was
great.
So this is what I tell people. It's the WWE of jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
with real jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's real.
So it's like the antics, the entertainment aspect beforehand.
Yeah.
But like with real jiu-jitsu in a pit. And then I guess this year
Can't
you
run
have
away.
like crazy rules happening and stuff. So I'm very excited about the ticket. So we in Vegas.
Yeah. When is that again?
That is August 29th. The last weekend of August, so 29th and 30th, I believe.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's just like I love jiu-jitsu, but like I'm also not that guy who's like, you must respect that. Like I'm not that guy. I love the art. I love training. I love pushing myself. I love putting people unconscious. I love getting choked. Easy. It's just like, you're so close to the brink of death, and just a tap and you're done. And it's like, how else can you push yourself harder? It's not many fields you can do that. MMA, you can't just punch each other nonstop, or CTE is going to happen. Boxing,
Yes.
it's got like jiu-jitsu. You can go hard, and then, all right, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then they added entertainment. It's fun.
Yeah, that's why I love jiu-jitsu, because you can really go hard. It's one of the few things you can do to somebody with 100% resistance, and with really, it's relatively risk-free. There's going to be bumps and bruises and stuff like that, but as long as you're training intelligently, like you can go hard up into that point where you get control, you get a dominant position, you get a submission. You're like, hey, I could crank this. This is the only difference between real life and rolling, right? Is I go now, I just follow through with the break, or I follow through with the choke. I hold on longer.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about jiu-jitsu where, like, we're voluntarily putting ourselves in these positions, knowing, actually not really knowing, because you like to think you know your training partners, but like you're trusting this person who can snap your limbs to restrain themselves enough to not snap your limb.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I don't think people think of it like that too often. Like,
There's got to be a level of trust.
Yeah, there's a huge level of trust.
Yeah.
I'm willingly getting into this position knowing you're probably going to get me in a submission where you could kill me or break me. And I am trusting that is going to stop you.
Yeah. And it only exists right there.
And
it doesn't exist on the street.
Yeah, well, some people, you ever seen those videos or so? It's like, dude, you just hit 2 women and children.
Yeah.
And this guy is now choking you and you're tapping.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to respect
I don't think
that.
he's going to. I don't think he is.
I don't think, if you're hitting women and children, I don't think this guy's going to allow you to tap.
Yeah, you got bigger problems.
You're going to sleep, at least for a second.
100%.
So speaking of, jiu-jitsu and martial arts, what got you into jiu-jitsu? How long have you been doing it?
Yeah. So jiu-jitsu specifically, I did martial arts when I was 8. So
Karate.
yeah. Kickboxing. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, but I did some karate tournaments. We got kicked out. We actually got kicked out of the U.S. Open in Florida one year. We got DQ'd because they're like, "What's the belt colors?" And we put on a brown belt.
Yellow, green, orange.
Yeah,
just a bright
I'm
ones.
like, I says, yeah. I'm like, we put on a brown belt. We're like, we didn't do the katas. We didn't like doing it. We just like to fight. But that's a whole other thing. That goes back to my book. But anyways, jiu-jitsu specifically, I was working on training for my second title. It was an organization called Bondo. and they had some tough guys, and it's basically like Muay Thai rules except without the knees and elbows. Everything else you can get low kicks, all that stuff, you know.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
those knees
you know.
don't fit, and elbows don't feel too nice.
But you know, for everything else, I mean, I did Muay Thai, I did all that stuff. But you know, for my titles were in Bondo, and I was in '07 and '08. I was getting ready to go for my title and national title in '08. I had started getting. I went to a jiu-jitsu. I went to a trial. It was like an MMA class, and it was even taught by a black belt. He was a Taekwondo black belt that grappled for 2 years. And that was it. And that was back in the day where you had to search far and wide to find a legitimate jiu-jitsu instruction.
Well, that 2 years of experience back in the day was
That was like,
huge.
oh, you're a coach.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
So,
all things considered.
Yeah.
And now 2 years, you're like, new. Like I've been doing it for about 4 years, and I feel clueless. Well, I am clueless, but it is what it
you
is.
would be a unicorn back then.
Well, that I know.
Yeah.
You know, even now. So funny. My brain goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So the blue belt was like the standard for you should be a blue belt as a cop, right?
Yeah.
So I get my blue belt. I keep training it, and now the argument is the cops. You should be at least a purple belt.
I see the argument for it.
And like
I see the argument
too,
for it.
I do
yeah.
too, because like more and more people are training the blue belt.
Well, you know, my argument with that is, and I follow that logic. You have to be competent. You have to be fight functional. So whatever that looks like, that could be. There's some tough white belts, but maybe they have a good wrestling background, right? But you need to know like blue belt level jiu-jitsu. You need to know basics, and then it's like, okay, well, what type of jiu-jitsu did you come under? Did you come under the Gracie combative belt? You know, did you come under? You know, what did you train? What did you focus on? And then you look at weapons-based environments, and that all changes everything. You know, the guy's got a knife, the guy's got a gun. You know, I may have to draw my gun. You know, I got to protect my gun. You know, all that changes everything. So it all depends. But I would say whatever it is, it's got to be competent, but it's got to be like fight. It's got to be fight functional.
It's got to be applicable to law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big argument in the space now. It's like, oh, that wouldn't work on the street, or I'd punch you in the street. It's like, I would punch you too.
Yeah.
Like
I do a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm choosing not to punch in this sport environment.
Yeah.
I will also punch you. Like
Listen,
you're
eye
telling me
gouges are fair game.
I will
right?
bite you.
Yeah.
I will take
Whatever.
skin. Like everything you can do, I can do better because I know jiu-jitsu. And might catch flack for that, but it's like, I love the argument. It's like, well, that won't work for me.
So the only thing that changes, it just gets more violent. You know, there's not that gentleman's agreement where we're gonna slap and bump or we're gonna touch gloves. Like this is not a sport anymore. The sport's necessary to develop the skill,
the principles.
And then you make those tactical adjustments for work or for real life. Let's say we're talking to a civilian. You know, it's make those adjustments for what could happen, and your main goal is probably to get out of there. You know, for the most part.
Yeah, the worst part, especially on the job, is when you get someone and you see someone with the big cauliflower, and it's like, I know how long I've been training. I don't have cauliflower, so this is gonna be exciting.
Well, it took me 10 years to get mine.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like you get your black belt, and they're like, "Here's your cauliflower."
That's
hey, there it is.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, not me. Sometimes after training, I'll go home and it feels a little sore, and I'm like, "There it is."
Yeah.
No. But I like the way my ears look anyway.
No, they look great. I saw them. They look very pretty.
See, pretty ears. I don't know if that's good or bad, but so you were doing jiu-jitsu. How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu all in all?
So, you know, probably you can say anywhere from 18 months to 2 years off from injuries. But besides that, since 2008, you know, so it's about 16, 17 years, something like that.
Dang.
Yeah. So last year I got my black belt. And I probably could have pushed it to get it a little bit faster, but I'm the guy that I got it from, the guys I got it from, so my black belt's under Bill Bonnecue and John Forsyth. Their black belt's under Vitor Shaolin. You know, I probably could have showed face to Shaolin and like, you know, try to go that route, but it's just not what I wanted to do. I want to get my black belt from the guys I'm training with. And so I had to wait for them to get their second degree. I'm like, whenever that happens, it happens. So they finally got their second degree, and about a month later, they promoted me. So.
And what's that black belt mean to you?
You know, I really, you realize like you don't know what you don't know. And I'm way better now than I was even 3 years ago. There's no question there. But I don't look at it as like, well, okay, I'm a master now. I have all the answers. Like, I'm now starting to realize, like, okay, I'm really starting to learn jiu-jitsu. These last couple of years, things have clicked, and I realized that the training methods, you try to always seek different ways to get better faster. And I realized, because I struggled for years. You know, there was a time where I struggled for probably 3 years trying to figure out how to get out of side control. You know.
Oh, that's the story of my life, bro.
And, it was, you know, again, back in 2008, you got to remember, like, you know, YouTube was kind of starting off, but you didn't have BJJ Fanatics. You didn't have Instagram, I don't think, at the time, right? You didn't have, like, people are getting good faster.
Yeah.
They're really getting good faster. Like, these blue belts.
Fed online.
Dude, I'll train with these blue belts. I'm going to get back to answering that question, but like the blue belts now, I'll train with somebody for 2 years. And you get a couple stretches of blue, and then like you can't just play with them. You know, they're gonna grab a submission. They're gonna try to prove a point. It's like, oh, I'm going to get coached today, and I like that because it keeps me honest.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
right?
Especially when the higher levels you are.
Yeah,
I feel like people are like, oh, I gotta get one on them. It's like, never a flow roll, never a like, let's warm up. It's like they're always constantly looking to, because it's like it feels good, right? Like, oh, I got. Like, I talk to my buddy calls me every time. He just got back into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I just had my coach last night.
It feels good, doesn't it?
And I'm like, and your coach is home, probably chilling, eating his bowl.
He's probably experimenting.
Yeah, he's probably just sleeping. And then, but we, you know, being lower level belts, we're like, oh, I got the coach. Yes, I got this, or I almost had it. And the coach is sitting at home, just chilling.
But to answer more directly, I think the black belt, you know, it's like it's a mile marker. You know, it's a milestone. It's like, okay, because we know, at least according to IBJJF and most standards people go by today, like the stripes are going to come. The stripes are like almost an automatic thing now once you get that black belt. But it was something that I had dreamed about for a long time since I started. I'm not going to lie. But I remember rolling with the purple belt for the first time, and it was like, this dude is a superhuman. You know, so like I can only imagine what a black belt is, and I've been trashed by black belts as a blue belt, and I've been to so many places, and then it's funny because now I've studied so much, and now we go back, and it's like you roll with some of these guys, and of course they're getting older, but you go with some high level guys or guys like, oh, I've heard a lot of good things about them, and it's like I'm waiting for the magic move, and it's just not there, you know, and then of course. You think you're good, right? You think you're really good. Then you go to somebody else, like, oh, wait a second, this guy's an animal, you know. Then it's like you're humbled again. So it's both humbling and inspiring. But to me, it's a milestone. It's like, okay, I checked the box, and it adds to the other stuff that I've accomplished. But it's just like I completed a cycle, I completed a circle, and now I'm just going to go over it again and just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, it's always interesting, like especially goal achieving, right? It's like you reach this goal and it's like, now what? You know, because when I first started jiu-jitsu, blue belt was like everything, and which probably sounds silly, but it's everything. It's like, man,
I remember when I
get my blue belt, blue belt. And I remember getting my blue belt, and then my first class after that, and it's funny because every class before I got my blue belt, it was a lot of like white belts, some stripes, right? And then as soon as I get my blue belt, I'm like, I'm the top of the food chain, baby.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the class.
Certainly felt like that.
Yeah, and it's like blue belts and purple belts. And I'm like, where'd all the white belts go? You know? And then it just seemed like as soon as I got my blue belt, you know, the coaches were probably like, okay, green light. He's good to play with. Because when I thought I was doing all right, making progress, seeing progression in my jiu-jitsu, first day back as a blue belt, all gone. I'm getting trash left and right. People are hitting moves I got leg locked with legs. I'm like, what is going on here?
It's a whole other world.
Yeah, and like that's just blue belt.
Yeah.
Then you get your purple belt, and then it's a whole nother level. And then you get your brown belt, and then you get your black belt, and you're like, oh, I'm at the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And then you're basically a chew toy for the black belts of 10 years. So it's like yeah, like
they
you
make
said,
us get better. I get the
goal.
drill on them. Yeah, but like I said, they'll sneak up on you. You know, they'll catch something. You know, I let somebody grab my arm for a little too long, and let somebody on my back for a little bit too long, just trying stuff, and then it's like, oh, that was a little deep. You know, so it happens.
What got you into law enforcement? So you were doing martial arts before,
Yeah.
so you went into law enforcement with a martial arts background, which
Yeah.
is kind of rare, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. What was that thing for you to get you into law enforcement?
Jiu Jitsu. It was so my professor, Bill, it was him and Johnny. I remember the first day I went to Shark Tank, it was literally him, those two guys. Johnny's the one that actually wrapped the black belt around me. You look at my black belt certificate, I'm under Bill. I train more with Bill. He's an interesting character, but he's a retired sergeant from the same department that I work for, Vineland PD. And I go one day, I'm just going to him, and I had worked at a mall as a facility manager for over 10 years. And I felt like a dead end job. Like I was comfortable, but I was too comfortable. This isn't, I'm not.
It's like, what now? Like, what comes?
I've always moved on to the next goal, and it wasn't satisfying for me. And I've always been a protector. I've always been a natural protector. But believe it or not, I didn't want to be a cop growing up. Right?
Neither did I.
I just wanted to be Batman. Right? That's all I wanted to be. I want to be Batman. But that's not something I can sign up for. So the next best thing is naturally being a cop. One day, actually it was my wife. My wife told me one day, she's like, you know, you look really hot if you wore a cop uniform. I'm like, okay. And then that was it. That was it. Did the civil service test? Well, before that, I had a conversation with Bill. I said, "Yo, can I talk to you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, and I've probably trained there, I don't know, a couple of years at that point. I said, "What do you think about me being a cop? Like, you know me. You've known me for a couple of years now. We had a good relationship at that time." He goes, "You just gave me the goods, the pros, cons, good, bad, ugly, and the rest is history." And I've been aggressive ever since. I've only got like a little over 4 years on the job.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't been doing it very long. I got in when I was like 29. So.
Damn.
Yeah.
Not me thinking you got street cred. No, I'm kidding. He's a black belt. Yeah. No, but okay, perfect point. We see a black belt and we think they have all the knowledge and all the experience in everything. You know, and it's something that we fall into, and like, why is that? But obviously there's something to be said about that 16-year process. You learn a lot about life, yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so there's things that, you know, apply, but 4 years, how you liking it?
I love it. I absolutely love my job. There's, day one, you go through, you give the interview answers, I want to serve my community. I truly do. Like, I truly love patrolling.
I do
I'll
too.
roll down my window. I'm not the cop that parks up, rolls the windows up, and like, of course we have days where like, man, I just got to get myself together because it's like, it's been a crazy busy week. We've been running call to call, gun calls, domestics and all this other stuff, fires and all this
You need
stuff.
to recharge your battery.
Sometimes you just need to catch your breath, and I'm all for that. I'm all for taking your mental health days as well. I'm really big advocate on that personally. But I also love knowing my community. I love knowing people. Hey, this complex over here, this one over here, this block over here. What I don't like is I don't like just harassing people just for the sake of looking busy.
Yeah, no,
And I know some people do that. In general, I'm not just speaking in general. Some people, do that, but that's just not my style. I think you do more. I think you get more across, even though, let's say a car stop, a ped stop, whatever the case is. I think you get more value off of stopping, showing presence, showing police presence. Hey, we're out here. But it's also I can show, if I can get away with a warning, I'm going to do a warning. But it's also a time to get, maybe they'll provide information that's valuable. Maybe they run that block or they run things, in that area. They're a person of influence, right? And if I can get an in with them and have good relationships with them, right? That just makes our job better. That just makes our job easier.
It's all about respect, man. Like, and respect
Goes
looks
both ways.
different.
Yeah.
It looks different for different people. This is how my traffic stops, not recommended. It works for me. So that's okay. I'll literally go up to them and I'll be like, hey, Officer Lopez with so-and-so. This is the reason for the stop, and next thing is usually, hey, look, I don't even enjoy doing these. Unfortunately, they're part of the job. So, but
Yeah.
give me your information. I'll get this done soon. And if everything checks out, I let them know immediately. I don't care, attitude, no attitude, whatever. I let you know immediately. I've made my decision. Now, granted, if you want to argue and fight on the side of the road, I hit you with it. Hey, if you want to argue, I can give you a date to argue. I'm not going to do this on the side of the road.
I'll get paid for it.
Yeah, this is not my goal.
Yeah.
Okay, I told you, if everything comes back good, you get a warning.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now before I go to my car. That way, because a lot of people are tense, man, and I see that. I get tense, dude. I'm driving. I've been on the job for almost 10 years. I'm driving. A cop gets behind me while I'm in a cop car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, it's the police. Bro, I'm working right now. Why am I nervous? So I understand.
Yeah.
My first goal is to break that nervousness. I'll literally sit there, as they're looking for stuff. I'm like, so how's your day going? And you can tell they immediately, they're like, good.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, beautiful day, got anything, and then people probably think I'm trying to put that wall down because it's a traffic stop for your registration being 2 days expired.
It ain't that deep, bro.
Yeah, it's like it ain't that real. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting here awkwardly while you're looking for your stuff.
Yeah.
So I just try to approach people where they're at, man. And I don't know what professional is to some people. Professional to me is just treat people how you would treat respectfully with your family, and that's how I talk to my family. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then sometimes I'll when I come back, I say, hey, good news and bad news. What's up? I'm like, bad news is it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but good news is you're good to go. And they're like,
I love messing with people
immediately.
like that.
They're like, but it's like that relief.
You know what? That goes so far. I've had so many people say, and I'm not trying to by any means, I'm not trying to make myself look better than what I am or pat myself on the back or anything like that. But I genuinely love this job. And when you get people like, what is your name? I'm going to remember you. And it was a good vibe.
Dude,
A
lot of people
I take pride in that. I really do.
I do too. And it's just normal interaction for me. And I have people call in, he was so nice. And it kind of makes me wonder, what kind of cops are you dealing with?
Yeah.
That me just talking to you for an extra 5 minutes made your day or changed your opinion of law enforcement.
Yeah.
So it's it kind of makes me
sad. Makes me disappointed that that's the image that people have.
Yeah.
Because that's not the right. Because I know a lot of great cops, and they love this job just like me or you. They do really good. They're a good people, person, and they're really good at communicating. And like I said, they respect people and they have a good reputation. And so it's unfortunate that some people view it that way. So
yeah, and I get it, man. I grew up humble beginnings, so I got to see quote unquote the other side.
Yeah.
But one of the things that kind of interested me in law enforcement was those cops in the neighborhoods. Yeah, they were tough, yeah, they were hard, but there was this one, and every time you saw him in the neighborhood, you were getting slammed. And then one day my ticket got punched and I hit the ground, and I'm pissed, and he's like, bro, what do you do? I see you on the block every day. He's like, you're young. Go do something. You should be playing in the park. And he's talking to me as he's yelling at me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him hold on. You're trying to give me advice. And first I was pushing it off. He goes off. He's like, dude, I don't want to see you on this block again. You understand me? And I'm like, you won't. And in my mind, I'm like, just because I don't want to deal with you again.
Yeah.
But I remember I ran into him a couple years later, and I was in the rain. I think I was at a Walmart, and he comes up to me. He's like, "I haven't seen you." I'm like, "That's good, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, what you been up to?" We started talking, and I told him, I'm like, I was actually, I was having my daughter. I was going off to college. So I'm telling him all this. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm proud of you. I've always thought about you." See, I'm like, "Really? All the people you deal with?" And he could have been BSing me, but he knew enough to remember.
Hey, you knew your face,
yeah,
right?
my face.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, okay. Like I get where he was coming from. I needed that tough love in that moment. So like I dealt with a lot, like officers like this. And I'm like, man, okay. They're like, I can understand that part. I also understood man, why are they always here? Why are they always like on? But then you're putting yourself in that position to be dealt with, especially the talking just from experience. The people I surrounded myself with created the environment for police to have to be there. So like, I understand, so now I'm on this side, I can connect and talk and be like, hey, bro.
That's what I try to explain to people. Listen to me. I'm not here to harass you. Like, really, I don't want to come here just for no reason. Like, there's a reason we're here.
I'm not here by mistake.
Yeah.
I get paid the same to drive up and down this road right here and drink coffee and listen to 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton.
I had a friend of mine that told me we don't get paid for what we do. We get paid for what we could do. And it's true. It's like you get paid for what you possibly might have to get into, right? You're compensated for that. Like you said, whether obviously, the call log, and everything else, like numbers tell a story. So when you're negotiating your contract, you're like, well, this guy's just parking up all day. Like, and they want a raise or they want steps removed or whatever. It's like, it's kind of a hard argument to, stand on, but you get paid for what you possibly could do. And guess what? Inevitably it will happen. Yeah.
It's so funny with contract negotiations, right? Because it seems to like all the good you've done gets thrown out the window, right? Like, we have a lot of like active shooter threats and bomb scares at our schools.
Yeah.
And our community loves us. And then we get all the cookies that, we show up, we lock it down. I'm telling you, not to exaggerate, within 5 minutes, we have the entire campus locked down. Like swift work.
Yeah, it's good response.
Like it's very proud of the people I work with and the surrounding agencies.
Yeah.
Like within 5 minutes, we have multiple dogs. We have all kinds of resources available. Schools locked down, kids safe, everything's safe, and then we're working the problem. After that, the day after that, all the praises, we're getting cookies, we're getting this, and mind you, that's not that we expect it. It's our job to do that. Like that's something I find pride in. Like I'm talking with a parent that day, and she's hysterical. She's like, I just got to see her. I'm like, ma'am, I can't let you in, right? Like part of keeping your kid safe right now is locking her in where she's at. We have officers in the schools. We have officers in the parking lots. We have drones in the air. We have dogs in, like, your daughter's safe in there. And if I let you in, I don't know, what if someone else is asking to be let, like we need to manage the in and out.
It makes everything more complicated.
Yeah. So she actually understood. She felt so much relief. And she's like, thank you guys for everything you do. So we're getting letters, we're getting cookies, we're getting all the good stuff. And then come contract time, it's like, well, we don't know if we can. It's like,
you're not that good.
Like, yeah, it's like, but in my mind, I'm like, dude, all these departments, like all our guys and girls train.
Yeah.
They all do jiu-jitsu. They all in the combatives. They all go to the gym. Like, people put in their own time all the time because they just want to see the department succeed and grow, right? Like, we're all invested into this. And then someone's like, well, no. I'm like, we're not getting sued. We're not getting no complaints. Which is rare nowadays, right? Because if you just look at someone and you look at them wrong, they're like, your officer looked at me. There's so many things that we don't get none of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, do we have to provide all the letters we get?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the next goal. But
that's how it goes, though.
So tell us a little bit about Shark. That's the gym you were training at, right? And then now you're a coach there.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, to be a part of, like, you were there to learn, and now you're a part of the learning process for others.
It's like the circle, like the cycle of life for jiu-jitsu, if you will, right? So now I'm like a jiu-jitsu dad, right?
You got to be a dad to be a daddy.
Yeah. Well, see, I got 3 kids too, so I definitely have the dad
How
energy.
old are you?
I'm 33.
Dude.
So I'm 33. I started dating my wife. I was 16. We dated for about 3 years. We got married. Got married at 19, really young. Kid at 20. It was my oldest.
But
yeah.
18. Not recommended. Not recommended.
But yeah, my oldest is 13. So
That's my oldest too.
yeah, and she's great. And last year she shot 200 yards with the 6-side Creedmoor. I teach them all to shoot, teach them all to do combatives and stuff
They
like
train?
that. Yeah, they train.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they train.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's good. So yeah, but I like it. I actually, even when I was younger, even when I was like getting ready for nationals, I only wanted to do nationals just so people would listen when I would speak. Because I trained hard. Like I knew I had the skill and knowledge. Because I remember, I go back to, I started kickboxing when I was 8 years old. And maybe we'll get into that later with my dad and how that started. But even when I was 16, I was taking on a coaching role, and that was when I was kickboxing. I was teaching kickboxing. I cared more about, and I got more fulfillment out of teaching than I did competing. And I liked to compete; it was fun, but it really just didn't. Like I was always a laid back kid. I really wasn't confrontational. Like I'm not really violent. I don't think. I'm pretty relaxed. But to me, it's a game. Like this is a game, and I like it, and it's fun. I get to do things, right? But I love sharing it, and I like seeing people grow and getting people like I want to see how good can I get this person like fast, like how fast can I get them really good. So yeah, when that happened in jiu-jitsu, I'm like, okay, now I'm competent. I'm at a level where I can pass on information. It's legitimate. I've competed. I've done all that stuff. I've been there, done that. Nothing amazing. I've won stuff, but I've lost. I've learned a lot. Done a lot of learning. They say we always win or learn, right?
Yeah, we don't lose, we learn.
Yeah, but I learned a lot.
I do a lot of learning myself.
I'm still learning, but but then it's like I think so. I've stopped competing like 3 years ago, and I had a decision loss on Fury 5, but it was good. I probably should have ate more than ramen noodles that day, but
that'll do it.
That
dude.
was a catalyst where I go into. So I was like 180. I was walking around like 190 or so, and now I'm like 235, 230 something. And I
How
started.
tall are you?
I'm 6 foot. Yeah, but I started eating red meat. So for like 10 years, I didn't eat red meat.
You didn't eat the Lord's meat, bro.
Listen,
that is like the best thing to eat.
Will you tell you the story real quick?
Yes, please.
So back in the day, there was a once upon a time where there was there was a time where like the vegan, the plant-based thing was like there was a trendy thing, right? So I went along with it for a little bit. My wife was doing it. Some other people were doing it. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try it. Yeah, got light and all this stuff. I was like 180, right? I did USJA Nationals, Judo Nationals 2019. I fought at 81 kilograms, 178 pounds. And
We're
that was
in the U.S., my guy.
yeah, for real. Yeah, 170.
He just got.
Well, for international listeners,
Yeah.
viewers.
I hope. Hey, if I have those, that's
So
cool.
I'm thinking big picture.
I appreciate it. Converting on the spot. I like it.
In judo, they always use kilograms, but 170 pounds, an American, and and I was like, but the thing was like, I had good endurance and stuff like that. I was always strong, right? I was good strong. I never had like the ripped body. I always had like a little bit here, and that's just how genetically I am. But I never broken a bone. I never got knocked out. I was always pretty like a sturdy kid. So naturally, I was stronger. I wasn't really fast. I'm like the worst runner ever. Like
Same.
I'm more the worst runner. I'll run forever, but I'm not fast. I don't have twitch. I don't have the fast twitch muscle fibers that other people do. I just isometric strength though. I'll hold you all day. But even in kickboxing, when I was a striker, same way. I was just like my pace was always metronome, stalking you, and then just getting you tired. That was it. And then basically having really good defense and not taking damage and get them tired. And it seemed to work. But where's it going with this? But
Vegan.
yeah, vegan. So I did the plant-based thing for a number of years, and then I was like, man. But I always felt like I'm like, man, why am I like? Everybody's like so much bigger. Like everybody I was dealing with was like 200 plus pounds. I'm like, this is hard to deal with. And I felt I was doing some research, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing nutrition.
A lot of the micronutrients and
Yeah.
you don't get from
like
plants. You
it's
have to
not just about
supplement.
protein. It's about all the
Yeah.
micronutrition, the taurine, the creatine,
Potassium,
yeah,
like
all that
I
stuff.
learned a bodybuilder friend of mine was telling me like, hey, make sure you have this much. But I'm like,
Yeah.
people always talk about, carbs, fats, and protein. What do you mean? Make sure I'm getting this amount of potassium and because all that plays a role into how your body processes all the bigger stuff.
Yeah, and it's essential. And so what I basically the conclusion I came to today is that there's nothing in plants that you can't get from that you can't get from meat, like specifically red meat. And there's nothing, but there's everything in red meat is basically it's a whole food. Between red meat, animal based, your dairy, your plain Greek yogurt, your cottage cheese, your eggs, all that kind of stuff, and fish. We could argue like you could probably supplement that with like some seaweed.
I've heard or moss. I heard
moss, sea
is
moss.
like huge.
Yeah, you could do that, or bone broth. It's really good. A lot of collagen there. But that's about it. Like you don't need anything more. You really don't. And so I started doing that. And so it was after I basically retired. I mean, I'm going to say I'm absolutely not going to take a competition anymore. I'm still young, so I might do it eventually.
I think CJI is still taking people.
Yeah. They're not even looking my way. But I'm looking at them like, I've gotten so much bigger and stronger now, and they were like, dude, you're impossible to deal with, so I always joke, I always like, oh yeah, and people actually legit thought I was taking steroids. They thought I was juicing.
That's a good compliment.
And actually it was my buddy Johnny, the guy who wrapped my black belt around my waist. He's like, you need to get on red meat. It's going to be like taking steroids for you.
It's the acai.
Yeah. Acai and Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I mean, it worked. And by the way, I don't lift. I just do jiu-jitsu. That's it.
Dude,
I don't lift at all.
That's my
Yeah.
see, and this is something I'm trying to change, but I will miss jiu-jitsu to get a lift in.
Yeah.
And
well, you look great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Looking great and being great are two different things, because then I get on the mat and I'm like gassed within 5 minutes. That's what I tell people. If you can last 5 minutes with me, you probably got me. But those I'm going to give you 5 minutes of hell.
Yeah.
And if you beat that, you're more likely.
Well, you're probably scary in those 5 minutes. Yeah.
I try to be. And that's my goal. That's my goal. I get you in 5 minutes. Yeah. But I love the gi because I can cheat, right? Like I grip you. I love grabbing the lapel and pinning to the mat, and you're fixed. You're not moving. Mm-hmm. You gotta take your gi off. But people have found out, and now they manage that. Like they train grip breaks, and now they're breaking my grip, and I'm like, well, there goes my cheat hold.
I teach this to my guys. The enemy of control is movement. Right, so if a movement-based game can kind of help stop that, even in grips, even with gi, if you can move more, like you look at judo, even like you'll get a guy that's strong enough to get a grip, but if they move, right, they're still going to be able to make that work, and that's the thing, right? Yeah, once you staple somebody down and you've tethered them to the ground, that's a little different. But you need to be doing things before that gets to that point.
Yeah, getting them to that point is the issue now. I can't even get there. Yeah. What was the catalyst to get you into kickboxing? You said you started at a young age.
Yeah.
And that's what started kind of your martial arts.
That was the first thing I did was kickboxing. And it actually goes back to my dad. My dad, for reference, my dad has one arm, right? So he lost his arm in a motorcycle accident when he was 17. I believe it was on Hook Road in either Pennsville or Carneys Point, somewhere out there where we grew up, and almost killed him. And he had actually technically lost function of his right arm, right? So he basically he only had like a tendon where he can pull it up a little bit, but it's basically frozen, fixed in this position where like all his tendons is tightened up and pulled up, and basically. It was like 10 years ago, I think he got it amputated completely up to here. only because it was turning colors. It was like this thing might get infected or kill me eventually, and he's diabetic, so he's like, I want to get this done before diabetes gets worse or my health declines or whatever, and now that this stupid thing's going to end me. So he wanted to get that taken care of, and he feels more comfortable now. But he had done boxing for about a year, and his coach Carl Beeman, who has since passed, but he was an older gentleman, lifelong martial artist. He knew all these different martial arts, and he said he coached for boxers, he coached for kickboxers, all different guys, and he said he tried to get him into boxing. So the boxing commission, he wanted to compete. He's like, man, I'm feeling pretty good at boxing. He wanted to compete, and the boxing commission would not give him his license because of his handicap. And so he got denied. He was kind of bummed out because he was really excited to compete. And he's like me, like the next goal, right? And so his coach at the time, he says, you did like karate or something as a kid, right? He's like, well, yeah, for like 3 months. He goes, all right, come in tomorrow. We're going to get you to do kickboxing. And it was like another probably a year later that he competed in his first bout. And it was a draw. He's got probably about a 50-50 record, but he's knocked guys out. And with one arm.
With one arm.
With one arm. And so that was my inspiration to start. I remember hitting the first introduction was hitting a speed bag. That was my first. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and you feel like a complete dummy after because you see the YouTube videos of people just.
Yeah. No, I'm still not that. I never got to that level, but I got functional. And the gym that we trained at was actually right next to our church. It was my grandfather that was a pastor of that church in Deepwater at the time. He was running it. Right next to it is a little like social hall where we'd have events and stuff like that, functions, parties, whatever. And we set up, there was like a high ceiling basement downstairs, and we'd set up bags down there. My uncle had welded this mount at the time because it wasn't like you can just buy them, right? It was years ago. And he had mounted this thing, and it worked. And he put it together, bolted it together, and we basically used that. We actually bolted that to the ground because it was always shifting. But we had a heavy bag, a double end, and a speed bag. And then we had another bag. It was a heavy bag that was basically duct tape all the way around because they would fall apart. We would duct tape it around so many times, and then we chained it to one of the pillars, like one of the support beams. And then we would kick that. We'd have basically cycles. So we would say, all right, we're going to do 15 rounds today, 3 minutes, right? Work on the 3 minutes, whatever minute break in between. You get those rounds in, that's our workout for the day. And you would rotate. So we'd have upstairs, people would be doing things. Downstairs, we'd be doing things. One of the stations was kick the bag for 3 minutes. And so you'd like halfway through, and then we had the buzzer system we had. It would be like the halfway marker. It was like one of those old school title.
You got to keep
it
vintage, man.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, cool. I'm going to kick for half the round with my right and half the round with my left. And, we did the whole like the you get the pain tolerance. You basically killed the nerves and the microfractures and all that stuff. That's the
body hardening.
The body hardening, it was a real thing. And so we did that, and that was my main weapon. That's what actually won me 2 titles was my leg kick. And it's still to this day, I still believe in a leg kick. I really do. It's like, it's so crippling.
Dude,
So crippling.
I always talk about my first fight, actual fight. I got kicked in the shin or like a side calf. And the immense pain that came from that, every time I stepped, I had to go to southpaw. And that's why I started learning southpaw. Because every time I stepped, it just sent a signal to my brain like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
Nope, can't do that. And then I'm like, who's going to keep targeting? And the dude just kept kicking it to the point where there was a moment in time where I was like, I'm going to have to bow out from just getting kicked. And gladly I didn't. But the kicks, man, they play a huge role in defense for sure.
It changes the whole pace of the fight. It really does. Actually, so I got a TKO my last, it was 2008, and it was So like tournament style. So you had multiple fights that day, right?
That's rough.
It's pretty rad. So I'm like, all right, I want to make this quick work if I can. So we went in there and I kicked this guy so many times, like a couple times significantly in his leg, that he dropped both of his hands because he didn't want to bear the pain of getting kicked again. And then I just instinctively kicked him right in the nose. His nose was bent like this, and the doctor stopped it.
Rearranged his nose.
Yeah, he was a tough kid. He was tough, but that's how I won that.
How does this your experience with jiu-jitsu, how do you apply that to law enforcement? I know you're relatively new. Has your department allowed you to kind of start integrating jiu-jitsu with defensive tactics, or like how is that working out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was right when I got at FTO. I actually was sent to the GST course, and that was back in January 2022. And they already knew my background at that time, and but they had a confidence that, hey, this guy's got, even though he's new, he's still got a lot to learn, and I still have a lot to learn. He's an asset as a defensive tactics instructor. We can probably learn some things from him. So I appreciate that. And by the way, I work for a great department. My whole career there, I mean, I always try to keep a good attitude, but it's been nothing but support from the administration and my direct supervisors as well. If I request a course or I think there's something of value, or there's even been supervisors that have seen a course that I didn't see. They're like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I mean, I'm always trying to learn.
Same.
So
I think there's value in that, and
yeah,
constantly.
I can always learn something from somebody, and so anyways, it's great because, but there's also people that don't know what they don't know, and people that say, well, sport jiu-jitsu, you do sport jiu-jitsu. That's not what we do. We have to affect the rest, but it's the principles of jiu-jitsu that cross
control.
over. It's control. It's control.
Like in jiu-jitsu, you're fighting for control at every moment.
That's all the game is, right? And however you have to do that, there's a certain timeless principles that no matter if you want to call it American jiu-jitsu, right? If you want to call it, yeah. And listen, I call it that, right? But it's jiu-jitsu, right? It's you're grappling, right? But you're controlling the subject, and you're being super efficient. Pain compliance doesn't always work.
No, you get the people who are hopped up on Mountain Dew, but they may not feel pain.
Yep.
Or you're only aggravating the situation, right? Like most people, even if they're passively resisting, you introduce some sort of pain control, now they're going to get into fight or flight mode, and that's when they start actively resisting.
That could be, yeah, that is about to say, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So they could really get into a defiant mindset, and that's not something you want. At the end of the day, we have to effect an arrest. We have to control them and put them in cuffs. And guess what? Striking doesn't put somebody in cuffs. Tasers don't put people in cuffs. Mace doesn't put people in cuffs, right? I can point a firearm at somebody if it's warranted, but at the end of the day, I got to put hands on them. So why would you not want to know some fundamental principles? And I'm not saying you have to be a black belt. You don't even have to be a blue belt, but like lock in when it's time to learn, right? So this might be life-saving. This might save you one day,
Well, a lot of the issues you see is officers failing to establish that control before the cuffs come out. And now we're introducing this hinge with a sharp edge into the mix, and you don't even have the person under control yet. So one of the things we try to teach at our department is effect control, then bring your cuffs out.
Yeah, 100%. I actually saw, you might have seen this too. Several people sent me this video on Instagram, and it was a guy getting tased, and he went for so many rides.
It was in the lobby of
and he had like 4 probes in them, and they were pretty spaced out. Like they had good connection, right? But he just kept on, like it was kind of comical because he was like, he's telling the officers, go harder, and he's sitting there and he's like, he's going for a ride. I'm like, there's something wrong with this guy, right? Obviously, he might be hyped up on something or just being stubborn, just trying to, for his entertainment, and you see one of the officers there with handcuffs out, and and we're taught, you put on the one link as he's in the ride, and then you put the other one on. And like in theory, that sounds great. I've only seen that on footage work one time.
Yeah,
I've only seen it work one time.
Well, what are we looking for? When you tase someone, they're locked up. If it's effective,
Yeah.
So now you're going to force these limbs together as they're locked up.
So the way they train it, the way it's trained when you go for your taser certification, and I don't know if it differs in Pennsylvania, but I know for us, they teach you put on a link when that MNI is affected, that neuromuscular incapacitation. When he's locked up, put one on, then don't force it until the ride's over. Once the ride's over, then put the other one on. Again, in theory, it sounds good. I personally, just with my training experience, I don't like the idea of putting just one on, and then I don't know if he's going to present, if he's going in his waistband. I want to account for hands first, right? Because if I got to disengage, I got to be mobile. I got to be able to transition. It actually goes back to some C4C principles that we teach. But it's like I may have to bail for a second. I may have to draw my firearm, right? Hopefully discourage the guy from presenting. Or, again, if that force is warranted, handle the situation accordingly. But it just, too many variables. Now I'm tethered. I'm married to the guy now. And I can't let it go.
Yeah, you can't.
He's got a weapon.
Leave the handcuff on him.
So, I mean, and people are slippery, so.
Yeah, no, it's something to be said about training jiu-jitsu, because not only are you learning the principles of effecting control, but you're learning constant problem solving, right? In jiu-jitsu, you go for something, it's defended, now you're going for the next thing. You're constantly problem solving on the spot. And in law enforcement, what are you doing? Constantly problem solving, right? Every situation. You can go to 100 domestics. It's going to turn out 100 different ways.
Yeah.
You can go to 100 mental health calls. It's going to turn out 100 different ways.
Yeah.
You're constantly assessing what's going on, trying, deviating, changing, problem solving. And that's one of the things I try to teach. I can show you a way, but the more important thing is understanding the principles and then applying the principles in the manner that is presented, in a way that's presented to you, because that's what's going to be important. You have, as officers, you have to problem solve on the spot. It's hard to teach that. The way you learn that is by just going through it.
Yeah.
And would you rather problem solve while someone's trying to beat you and resist you and fight you, or do you want to problem solve as you have this person under relative control? And now it's easier for you to problem solve. It's safer for you to problem solve. It's safer for both the subject and you. And then you deal with what you got and go from there,
Mm-hmm.
And it's, back in the day was, hands tucked, pull the hands. Okay. Maybe if they're up here closer to the face, but what if they're now closer to the waistband? Do you want to pull them out? You pull them out and he has a gun or he has a knife.
Correct.
So maybe that's where you staple and pin.
Yes.
But it's you have to constantly evaluate and then go from there.
100%.
I know we teach a lot of the ShivWorks, Craig Douglas's stuff, which he's pulled from all kinds of stuff. And I've gone to everything myself. I've gone to EFC, GST. I've even gone to Krav Maga. All kinds of stuff. I've gone to a couple FBI ones, and some of them have been like, I
haven't been to a ShivWorks yet.
What?
I do want to do that. I just take because I've been always booked for another course.
We host them every year.
We're definitely be linking up. I would like to attend one.
If you want to see where you're at in a relatively safe environment, I highly recommend, because after ours was a 4-day, they're 10-hour days, and at the end of every day we do what's called an evolution, and that's kind of you. It's a live scenario, real. You have sim guns, you have the helmets, and you get immediate feedback, right? Like one of the principles was the first day was you were turned on the wall, and the guy was behind you, and the scenario started once he threw a punch at you. So you had to turn, block, and then boom, you're live. you know, and it's always his big thing is timing, presenting under like good timing.
Yeah.
As officers, what do we want to do? We're getting attacked. Oh, go for a tool,
Yeah.
right? Well, by you presenting this tool, it's now available for both of you to play with.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to establish control before a tool is presented.
Yeah.
In that close.
Some people don't understand that. So in the edge weapon system that I'm involved in, NBC, Martial Blade Concepts, Mike Janich, the founder, he teaches this concept of earning your draw.
Yes.
Right. So, like, we've seen it many times, and they're so hard to watch. Where, unfortunately, people in line of duty, they've went for their firearm, but it was in that contact distance where they didn't have any kind of control. They didn't even have a good angle. Where when the guy is trying to stab them, and unfortunately, that has led to fatality. You know, to some deaths, and so, you know, going into like an arm bundle, going to a control position, whatever. We have something called the compression lock, where I'm locking out the arm, but I still have my gun controlled. I can take a pelvic girdle shot. I can take a headshot if need be, whatever the case is, whatever the situation warrants. And but the idea first is like, don't die first. Don't die first, right? Get to some kind of angle, get to some kind of control, then go for your firearm. Or I deflect, I get an angle, put a finger in the eye, whatever, match the face. Then that split second when they're trying to figure out what just happened, go for your firearm, draw, ready for commands, ready for action. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think people stray away from jiu-jitsu because it's scary. And as cops, you know, cops have egos.
Yeah.
And if it's something new and it's different, it's almost like, wow, why do I need to do that? I have all these tools readily available to me. But like you said before, every arrest ends in contact. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not pointing a gun at someone and they're going, hey, throw me your cuffs, and then they're not putting the cuffs on themselves.
Right.
You're not tasing someone and then they're like, okay, I quit. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they need that little ride to remind them like, hey, this isn't going to end well. Just stop. But at some point you have to put hands on someone. Yeah. And that's, you know, I've seen people comply. And as soon as that first hand goes on, the game starts. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like, how did you put your hand? Did you just grab them? And that's what we see a lot. Put your hands behind your back. You grab both hands, put them together, and cuff them. Yeah, sure. If they're complying, that works every time. But we get paid for what can happen. Yeah. And what most of the time, what happens is people don't want to get arrested, and we as cops are surprised when that happens, and we take it personal. I don't understand why. Our job is to handle situations. This situation, they don't want to go to jail. Why are you surprised when they are resisting that?
You take away their freedom.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah, I don't want to go to jail either. Yeah. You know, so I don't knock someone when they're resisting. I'm just like, I wish you. Well,
that's where some respect comes in, but also you gotta have some command presence too. And you know, that can be verbal, but that can also be physical. I'm not saying like more force than necessary, but you know, even just the way you grab somebody before you put handcuffs on. Like, I have a way that I bundle the arms, and it's just like, and they feel it.
I do almost like a little weave. I'll go in and bring it in, and I hold it. Yeah. That way, if you turn into me, I can bury my head, and now we're getting into body lock.
You do it confidently. You do it like we're in jiu-jitsu class, right? But you'll see the ones where they grab the fingers and all that stuff. And, you know, listen, try to maybe it's worked for years. I'm of the belief, just my opinion, that just because something has worked a certain amount of times doesn't mean that's the best way to do it. It just means that nothing's happened yet, right? Or nothing got that bad yet. So we should always strive to evolve and try to get better, because people out there are getting better, you know?
Yeah, more and more people are training. More and more of these things these fights, these shows, these tournaments, competitions. Yep. They're all being televised. You know, techniques are everyone has a instructional now.
Even if they don't train. I actually have my brother, he didn't like jiu-jitsu. He didn't like to grapple. And he would watch, but he wouldn't do it. And we had this guy training with us for 6 months, and he had hands-on experience. And for 6 months, he was trying to figure stuff out. He got annoyed at my brother's was getting snarky, whatever. And he's like, well, let's roll right now. Since you're a know-it-all, it's something stupid between them. My brother tapped him out. And just by watching. My brother would probably be better than me if he picked up jiu-jitsu. But he never pursued it, you know?
And I think people should, and it's always like, I've never met someone who tried jiu-jitsu and was like, nah, this isn't for me. Like, people.
And that's my brother.
People he's tried it and didn't like it.
He's like, meh, not into it. I'm like, okay.
Well,
you could have been like a phenom. You realize that, right? You could have been that good. If guy trained for 6 months and he was getting good, and you sit there like, this is so dumb. This is so amateur. And he just quickly ankle locks him and he guillotines him. Like, he tapped him several times.
Nick with Immobilized. We were shooting video at our gym, kind of like a comedic video where me and my coach are going at it, and he ends up getting me in a rear naked with one arm. And I'm like, not to say I let him, but he put me in this position, and like I tap with one arm. You know, he's got one arm, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then he gets the cage, like, oh, that's jiu-jitsu, like I can do that. Yeah. And then he was like, hey, like, why don't we shoot the second part where I'm doing it now, so people can see how different it is. Yeah. He's never grappled, never done anything. Yeah. Dude, my coach, he's a chew toy to my coach. And he gave my coach, he's like, hey, go. I want to see, like, so my coach, taps him out. Dude, he gets up, his hair is everywhere. He's like, whoa, dude, what was that? Yeah, but after the video ended, he was like, dude, that was actually so much fun. Yeah. And I was like, now imagine if you know how to defend yourself. Yeah. It gets so much more fun.
I don't know. You probably feel this way too. And you're a purple belt, right?
Blue. And with a blue belt with a lot of years of experience.
I thought you were purple.
I wish.
Oh, anyways. So
he doesn't respect me as much now.
No. I could have sworn I heard that you were a purple belt. But
I fucking wish. I don't even want to say I should be.
I don't have one in my bag. I mean, but anyways. But you go into, like, whether it's a grocery store or something like that, or walk around with my kids, my family, like, there's not that you're trying to prove something, but like there's this confidence that you walk around with, knowing that like 99% of you humans have no idea.
Yeah, and it may come off wrong, but
it's not like, I'm not trying to be arrogant.
No, we do that with everything in whatever field, right? Like if you're a lawyer and you got 10 years of experience in criminal procedure, you've gone through hearings and won hearings, and when you walk in the courtroom, think of this: your first hearing as a lawyer, you're like, man, how's this setting going to be? How's the defense going to be? How am I going to approach this? You're nervous. You're going in. You're in your head. Your 10th hearing, or 10 years down the road, your 100th hearing, you walk in that courtroom, put your briefcase down, bring your papers out. You know exactly how the procedure is going to go. You know exactly how you're anticipating, because you've done this long enough. You're like, these are probably going to be the contentions I get, and I know how to manage these because I've done this many times. You walk in with a confidence, right? And when you look at another lawyer and you're like, man, they've only been practicing for 2 years, in your head you're going, man, I'm gonna wipe the floor with this person. Like, it's something we do in every field. But when we talk about it with fighting and jiu-jitsu, it's like, oh,
but I have an ego,
toxic man. Yeah, but it's like we do that, right? We go into a grocery store and you look at this dude and you're like, man, I could wipe the floor with you. But like, why do we? I don't know.
It's funny. I'm gonna make an in-law joke now. My mother-in-law and nobody gets under my skin like my mother-in-law, and I love her.
I'm just the host. I'm just the host.
You don't have to say anything about yours. She may never see this episode. She might. It's like, listen to me, and she's like, "Oh, you're arrogant." I'm like, "Listen to me. I'm the best son-in-law you'll ever have." Right? And you know it. I says, guess what? You hear a thump in the middle of the night. Who are you going to call? Right? And they actually live with us. They actually live. They have like in our house. We have like a homestead and all that stuff. We also have like an in-law suite, and that's where my wife's parents live. And I'm like, listen to me. I got it covered. I'm protecting this castle. You're safe.
Yeah,
because
stay sleeping.
Yeah, and just sleep good, knowing that if anything happens, I'm here. So I give her a hard time because like she can't figure out how to do something, figure out how to fix something. I'm like, here we are. I'm gonna fix it for you.
But it's the confidence jiu-jitsu gives you.
It's confidence, and it's like no matter what the problem
Or
is,
any training, any martial art.
yeah, well, no matter what the problem is, I can learn. And I think it got easier too with martial arts. Martial arts has really helped me do that. And my dad's my hero. He actually instilled that in me. Like no matter how hard it is, like you'll survive.
There's a solution to everything.
There's a way.
And jiu-jitsu provides a fast track to gaining that, because you're constantly persevering, you're constantly being met with resistance that you're overcoming, whether you get overrun and you realize at the end of it, oh, I survived this, I'm okay, that sucked, but I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna shower, eat my meal, I'm gonna be fine. And jiu-jitsu kind of, or martial arts in general, provides that confidence, right? So when we're in the office and admin's down your throat about something and the guy next to you is losing his mind, why are they doing that? And you're sitting there like, it sucks. It is what it is. People are like, why are you so chill? Why are you so? Because I realize there are bigger problems. And this is just, at the end of the day, this is nothing like, and I could kill him if I wanted. Like that. But
you're not lying.
Not to sound rude, and I hope people can understand where I'm coming from. It's what I'm saying is like, when someone's arguing with you and you've kind of done this assessment, not to say there's they can look to see. It looks to be deceiving.
Anybody can sneak you.
Anyone can sneak you, and that's another respect we learn, right?
Sure.
Like when I'm on the road, I'm like, hey, I understand the people I train with. The majority of them are video gamers that could rearrange your limbs 10 times over. So you approach people with this respect of like, hey, I know what I'm capable of. I don't know what you're capable of. So let's not find out. Let's just, because I understand where it can go, and we don't want it to go there. Let's not find out. Rather, when you're not in that environment, you can't control your emotions, and that's when you tend to see these, and get offended if you want. This is where you see these guys with anger management issues, right? Because there's no outlet for them to, as men, we want to conquer. We want to. That it's in our nature. We scavenged for food. Yeah. We're war ridden. We're all this back in the day. And like now we sit in an office, we go home, and our wife, if your wife telling you to do something is your biggest issue, you're having a good life. No one's actively trying to kill you. 100%. You're fed. You have a roof over your head. Like, learn how to deal with it. If this is the biggest thing you're going through, a disagreement with a person who loves you, how do you handle someone who wants to take your life? I just want to take a second to shout out a few companies who've believed in me. These were one of our first official sponsors, so huge shout out. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Carbo Jewelers, established in 1997 on the values of honesty and integrity. Whether you're searching for the perfect piece, need expert repair services, visit Carbo Jewelers in Newark's Ironbound District, where your jewelry is always in safe hands. This episode is also brought to you by Continental Jewelers, proudly serving Hudson County, New Jersey since 1964. Whether you're seeking a timeless piece or need expert repairs, they've got you covered. Visit Continental Jewelers, your trusted source for all things jewelry. You can find them on Instagram at Carbo Jewelers or online at carbojewelers.com. Lastly, big shout out to Carbo Trading. Besides coins, precious metals, and jewelry, if it could be traded and collected, he's probably got it. They can be found on Instagram at carbo.trading. You can find all of our sponsors out online on our sponsor page at therelentlessproject.com.
Yeah, I think some people haven't been battle tested, or they don't live in that lifestyle where they never discover who they are.
A lot of lost men.
Yeah, and I think that it's natural, and I think it's necessary that you discover how terrible and how painful things can be, and learn to be conditioned for that chaos. Growing up, my dad believed in that. I had a good childhood, but I had a somewhat unconventional childhood in that my dad would train us, and this is when we were getting into martial arts. And when we started having that conversation where, hey, if you want to compete, we can do it. In preparation for that, my dad says, like, you're not going to go in there not in shape. You're not going to go there prepared, right? So he would wake us up 5 a.m. On a school day to go run in the park, Riverview Beach Park, right in Pennsville. And it was like there's some nights 18-degree or mornings 18-degree weather, sun's not out yet. We'd run out there, bitter cold, and we had the Delaware River is right there. Like you can see the Delaware Memorial Bridge from there where we were running, and like that gust of wind just hit you. So blistering cold that by the time you turned and you kind of like cut where there was enough trees there to block the wind, it literally felt like somebody turned the heater on, right? In 18-degree weather, and that's how cold that was. So we did that. We did a couple of miles of that. Okay, kids, have a great day at school. I'll see you at 3:00, and we're gonna go to the gym. You know,
But I think that's awesome.
it was great.
I think that needs to be done
It's great.
more.
And like I tell you what, but and you know, nobody really messed with us for the most part. In middle school, there were some kids that tested me and my brother because we were embracing the suck together, you know, and
And he doesn't want to do jiu-jitsu.
he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to convince him.
I hope you look at this face.
Yeah, maybe he'll come around, but maybe this will inspire him. But you know, we would suffer together, you know, and we're like we're preparing for war or something. Like our dad showed us how to shoot, how to do this, how to do that, as much as he possibly could.
You and your brother close?
Yeah,
Like, because you're going through things together
yeah,
willingly.
yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, what's it called? Trauma bond. We trauma bond.
Yeah, we did. And we were like, you know, we got to the point where I remember it was, when did Star Wars Episode 1 come out?
Dude, I've never watched any of this. No offense.
Are you in the 1% club?
Is that the people who haven't watched
Never
it?
watched the Star Wars?
No.
Okay, well,
They're too long.
I'll overlook that. I'll overlook that for right now.
May the fourth be with you.
What about Lord of the Rings?
Haven't watched any of them.
Oh, yeah, I'm a nerd. I love Lord of the Rings. There's actually a lot of symbolism behind that. If you look into
I hear they're good.
They're good.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's not about.
I can watch that every day.
The movies are like 3 hours long, bro.
Oh, it's great.
I got a lot of life to do, man. I can't just. I got to watch things like half hour at a time.
I like pray. Like it's almost like you want to get sick just so I have an excuse not to go anywhere, just so I can watch Lord of the Rings and eat some soup. Yeah. But anyways, when Star Wars Episode 1 came out, I remember, and this was VHS, right? VHS days. He's like, all right, boys, we were at Walmart, and I think it was like $8 or something like that, something crazy. He's like, all right, boys, you want that movie? He goes, I'm like, yeah. He's like, you run 1 mile. And this is when we were really little, like 8, right? He's like, and I think my brother was like 6. He's like, you run 1 mile without stopping. That movie's yours, right? So I'm like, here we go. First time we ran a mile uninterrupted, like we didn't have to walk. We like kept that pace, and he watched us. And we're like, done. Got the movie. We had a great night.
That's crazy how incentives work, huh?
It does, yeah.
It's like it's not that you're not capable of running a mile.
No,
you just don't have the incentive.
You have it in you.
Yeah,
you have it in you.
And like everyone has that.
Yeah,
everyone. And I'm a huge proponent. Everyone has greatness in them. The majority of adults will never tap into it.
Yeah,
and that breaks my heart. Truly.
And I think that because there's a question mark there, where that darkness or that void inside of you, there's a question mark. There's not I discovered who I was, you know. And I'm constantly seeking that because I know that I'm full of weaknesses. I'm full of faults, and it's when I do something hard, I work out or I train or do something really hard. Like right now, I'm going back to my kickboxing workouts because I'm thinking about my childhood. And probably like prepping for this podcast probably sparked that. But I'm like, I remember going through that and suffering, but it was dude, it made you better.
Yeah.
It makes you better.
I think
so.
Experiencing resilience makes you better and your approach to it, right? Yeah. Like I know that the moniker, you win or you learn. Mm-hmm. It sounds corny, sounds cheesy, but if you truly apply that, you apply that thought process, you embrace the suck, as they say, and you lean into lesson, you will be better overall. If you try to learn from every experience, win, lose, or draw, you're gonna be better. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it.
There's a scientific discovery, I think fairly recently. I think it was Huberman that brought this out. The angular mid-cingulate cortex.
I've
Yeah.
referenced this on many of these shows, and I never know what it's called.
Yeah,
But it's when you do things you don't want to do, this
Yeah.
cortex grows.
it does. It
And
does.
when you avoid hard things or things that you don't want to do, when you avoid them, it shrinks.
Yeah.
And that's not. And I believe the research is not talking about doing hard things in the sense of go run a triathlon, go climb Mount Everest. Yeah, that works. But it's like you have to do the laundry today, but you'd rather sit on the couch. You fighting that urge to just do nothing and do that thing you don't want to do grows that cortex. It builds your resilience. And now we have science, we have pen to paper to show this resilience is physically and biologically growing
Yeah.
in your brain.
Yeah, you're actually getting better. You're getting better when you do hard things. So, that was our childhood, and we weren't abused. Like, it was just, my dad was just disciplined. He was tough, and
It's up for debate depending who you ask.
yeah, I mean, people might say like, "Oh, that's not normal," but I'm like, yeah, I'm not normal, but I tell you what, I respect everybody. I'm super polite, right? I'm very calm. I don't think I suffer from any kind of PTSD as a result of it. But at the same time, my dad would never force us to fight. He goes, "You never have to compete." He goes, "But you will train."
I think that's a good.
He goes,
middle ground.
He goes, "You never have to compete." I remember going for nationals. He's like, "Timmy, just so you know," it was just me and him. I was like, "Just so you know, you never have to do this to make me happy." He goes, "You've done enough. You've already proven enough. I'm happy just training with you, and growing together, and that's it. That's it. And that was our bonding time. Was gym. We didn't really do much else. There wasn't much else going on. Everybody else was like doing,
Fishing and
heroin.
or that. It's bond
That was
over-
actually my high school was actually called Heroin High. That's what they said on the streets. But
Oh, I say. I hope that's not the actual.
no,
but that's
no,
what it's known
no,
for.
no. But
Well, that's good.
But yeah, we stayed away from that.
No PTSD.
No,
from that.
absolutely not. Yeah. So
Something to be said there.
Yeah.
Keep your kids running and distracted.
yeah.
How is your role as an assistant pastor? How does that play into your approach to not only jiu-jitsu but law enforcement?
So I think it's somebody actually asked me the other day. It's like, well, what is your main thing? It's like, because they were saying like, well, you being a cop isn't really you're more of a pastor. I says, I'm me, but I do these different things, and I don't look at it like, well, now I have this separate persona I have to put on now over here. It's all integrated, and a lot of times, as a matter of fact, when I'm teaching or I'm preaching, I bring out a lot of stuff about what we go through as law enforcement officers. Of course, I can't say certain things, act investigation, stuff like that. There's certain things I won't say, but I will bring out, I'm sensitive to people with PTSD. I'm sensitive to people with mental health crisis. I'm sensitive to people's trauma. I think now more than ever. I've always been sort of, sympathetic to people. I was raised in church. I was raised in faith. I had a pretty great upbringing. And that's something that I just will never change. But I really think that me being an officer and patrolling the streets and being involved in coaching, like it all kind of is part of. That's why my Instagram tag is Holy Roller, right? It's me. It's all encompassing of my values, right? Like I think everybody should train. I think everybody should have faith, and I think everybody should be sensitive to other people's trauma.
And that's a good approach too. And it all comes to, what we're called to by faith. Just love people. But what does that mean, right? Because people who don't have the same faith or maybe a different type of faith, that may look different. It's like, why am I going to love someone who's trying to hurt me and kill me?
Sure.
What do you say to people who say that?
So as a matter of fact, I actually have, I won't reveal names, but I do have family, and I won't even go to the details of what happened, but there was something bad that happened to their kids, and it was from other family. And And it was the person that was married into our family that was the accused. And so I'm like, yeah, they presented me with something like, hey, they did this to my kid. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like at a loss for words. But I'm like, listen, whatever's going to happen to that person, I truly believe they're going to be accountable for it. When they stand before God, they're going to have to deal with that. They have to live with themselves now. They have to live with their conscience, right? So if that's not torture enough, but he'll get his, okay? But and the scripture says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. He's gonna right the wrongs. So that's the one bit of hope that I hold on to. I'm like, because really being mad, staying bitter about a situation, and you're completely justified in feeling those emotions. But you're not going to get better. You're not going to live life if you stay in that time capsule. You have to heal. You have to forgive, but that's for you.
Yeah, forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's
for you.
And that's one thing I've really leaned into. It's like this person does you wrong, or this person says something to you. There's you can hold on to it and hate and despise this person, which is now affecting how you approach life, how you approach other people, right? Like, you wronged me. Are you going to wrong me? Are you going to wrong me? Are you listening going to wrong me? Like, we don't want to live like that. You miss out on a lot of opportunity, a lot of great relationships, a lot of great life experience when you do that, rather than, hey, I'm going to let this go and keep on with my life. And whatever happens to you happens to you. It's not up to me to bring in vengeance or bring in revenge. Because,
I'm not their judge.
Yeah, an eye for an eye makes the world blind.
Yep.
You know, if that's our approach to life, we're not perfect. And that's what I try to tell people. We're not perfect, right? I'm going to fall short to someone. I may wrong someone. I may approach a situation that this person doesn't appreciate or respect, right? I'm not perfect. Not to say that's my intention, but we're all human and we all fall short and we all make mistakes, right? I make a move or I make a decision that doesn't align with your approach. Now it looks like, well, he backstabbed me, or he went against me, and then what does that happen? What does that?
If you think about the legal system that we have, like the fundamental idea of criminal code, of laws, of repercussions and punishment, right, for heinous crimes. If you think about why that stuff is in place in our society or in other societies today, is for a simple fundamental reason, is to stop bloodshed. Because what will it turn into? Something terrible happens, God forbid, to one of your family members, right? Something heinous happens to them, right? An innocence of a child is taken. A life is taken. Somebody was tortured, whatever the case is, right? You want to do terrible things to that person, naturally. You want to do terrible things, absolutely. Right? And then what happens? Then you retaliate. Then one of their cousins looks at you and says, you're the bad guy, right? And it's just, the bloodshed never stops, right? It's like the Hatfield and McCoys, so to speak, right? This is all over. This was between these parties. But as a believer, my faith tells me it's going to be handled. It's going to be handled. Just, you don't need any more intervention. The only intervention that we're called to is for that imminent physical threat. I still believe in that. And that's why, again, that's what people like us are for. That's what that's what the Second Amendment is for, is because you have a right to defend your human life, right? That's a fundamental thing. But besides that, as far as like retaliation, naturally, yeah, like we feel that. But I think that's the one thing that I hold on to, and I really don't have much else. I can't say like, oh, I know how you feel. I don't know how you feel. I can imagine, because I've played those scenarios in my head, right? I have. And guess what? I play those scenarios when I'm hitting the bag. I'm playing those scenarios when I'm doing a hard workout. It's like, can I save my family? You know what I mean? So, but that's when you go to those dark places in your head.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And not to say You know, you react, and it's like you're about. It's like we're all human. You know?
Oh, of course.
We react.
Of course.
But now you're aware. Now you can be like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where that constant self-evaluation and like everyone's that I say it's a lot. Everyone's doing life for the first time.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it together. You're 33.
Yeah.
It's the first time you're 33.
Yeah.
It's the first time you have a 13-year-old.
I'll let you know when I
33.
figured this out.
Yeah. Like no one's got it figured out. A lot of people pretend to be. And it's so funny. I'll get messages to the podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, how would you handle this? Like you got this all. I'm like, first off, I do not. Okay. I'm just simply having good conversation with good people. Hopefully people learn from these conversations or can pull inspiration or maybe, hey, I can apply this, or maybe I don't want to apply this, or you're listening, you're like, I needed to hear that. And I get a lot, and that's awesome. That's the whole purpose of this, right? But nobody here has it figured out. I don't have it figured out, and I don't have all the answers. No one does.
Right.
That's why it's good to build a good community so that you can have what we're doing here in your personal life.
Yes.
You know, and that's what stemmed this podcast, just having great conversations with people that I'm like, man, I wish this person could hear this, or I wish this message, could be shared. And now it can, because it's on camera and audio.
Well, I like it's real. It's this isn't polished. This isn't. I feel like we can talk freely here. And
Absolutely.
I think people are actually trending more towards podcasts, right? More than like other things, other forms of like entertainment, right? Think about it. Think about the person that travels and stuff like that, and they want to listen to the topics they're interested in. They don't want some industry telling them this is what you want. No. Let's have real people, and I feel like we're kind of entering an era, and I think we're actually in there where, my personal opinion, I don't think people think highly of like celebrities like Hollywood anymore like they used to,
especially because everything
with all the stuff going on,
curated,
yeah.
Man. And that's it. That I was against not against it. I was just I wasn't a fan of podcasts.
Yeah.
And I started listening to some and I'm like, wow, this is a person I follow on social media. I think what he does is cool. And now I get kind of like a back look of like how his thought process, how he handles things, how he dissects things, how he learns things.
Yeah.
And now I'm listening. I never met this dude, but this conversation was so good. Let me go see what he's about. And now it gives me the opportunity, if so choose, to go learn more about this thing.
like my celebrities in my life are people that I've rubbed shoulders with, that they're good people. I think the world of them. And that's what I try to surround myself with. And they say, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And so I try to make that good. I try to make that really good. I have different types of friends, but they're good people. If I can pick up the phone, I know they'll be there.
And that's what it's all about. And I think podcasts offer a platform. And again, like everything humans touch, it's
genuine. I love what you're doing. Yeah,
I appreciate that. And like a lot of the podcasts, I think, and that's the thing where I never understand where the hate comes from with people, right? 'Cause listening to this, I listen to podcasts. If I don't agree with someone's stance, I'm like, that's not how I view that. That's, so that's not a person I'm going to follow.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all.
Or he said something that offended. That's his thought process. I don't like that. I don't have to listen.
Or
again.
they had one opinion that I don't line up with, but everything else is fine.
Yeah. So I hate them. They're horrible people because X, Y, Z. And I think if we approach stuff like that as humans, you're hurting yourself, right? Because like this person's on the platform, they're telling their story, their opinions, right? And then they're going on about their day. And now you're brewing at home, hating a person you've never met, you've never had a conversation with. Yeah. I never understood that. What I like to do, if it's something that really struck home to me, I'll try to have a sit down with you, right? Like I don't entertain arguments and all that stuff anymore. It's just like, okay, we're obviously this conversation is not facilitating learning, so there's no point in having it.
Yeah.
You just want to tell me how big of a piece of shit I am? Cool. Noted. I'll put it in my notebook. It's in my pocket. That's where it's going to stay.
Put it in the suggestion box.
Yeah. Like okay.
Yeah.
You think I'm horrible because I'm a cop? Well, there's a
lot of keyboard warriors out there. There's a lot of people that and it seems like it's the ones with like the private profiles.
Oh yeah.
That are always on there.
No picture.
It's like what is this, Reddit? But it's very strange to me Because I'm like, dude, I guarantee you would not talk like that to my face.
No, well,
I
social
guarantee.
media and echo chambers has created a safe space for people to just
You can hide behind your hidden
shoot.
profile.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
but like if that's not how you approach someone in real life, why do you think it's okay to do it online?
I really tried to keep it respectful.
I do too. I had someone.
I mean,
comment-
obviously, and you know, your job is a concern, right? Because now we have licensing, so you got to be careful about things you say and outwardly facing things you put out there in social media, which I'm respectful anyways. You know, I try to be.
nothing
I mean,
changes.
that's
How
just,
I am here is how I am on the road.
yeah. I mean, what
and-
you see is what you get, and that's what I like, and that's why I like hanging around people. I get along with people like that, so that's why, like I said, I get that the people I get along with, I don't even have to try.
Yeah.
It's just natural,
and if we don't get along, that's fine.
and I'm okay with that. So,
You know, I had someone comment. They're like, "Oh, look at anyone can get a podcast now and just think they can speak." It's like, dude, if you don't like it,
you could look the other way.
Why are you commenting? You're here to stay.
Yeah.
Like, go somewhere else.
You were interested enough to comment.
Yeah, because then I looked at that and I was like, I'm not interested in that comment. You know what I did? Just ignored it.
Yeah.
You know, until now, because obviously we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just.
But you'll notice though, I noticed this too. The more successful you get, you'll have people have opinions all of a sudden. You'll have people telling you they'll clap for you when you're trying to make it, and you know you haven't made a name for yourself yet, or that's a perceived thing in their mind, and then after a while it'll be like, oh well, what about this or what? And they'll have like a 2 cents to add, and I'm like, you weren't. First of all, you didn't help me get here.
Don't take advice from people you wouldn't take criticism. Don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from.
That's a good way to look at it.
Like,
yeah.
and not only that, I truly believe this. No one doing better than you is going to bash what you're doing.
No, they're gonna be happy for you.
They're going to be happy for you,
It's like awesome.
or they're not even going to care.
Yeah.
It's not going to be it's not going to be worth their time to tear you down because they're doing better than you.
It's a thing too. It's like gym cultures too. Like I have places I can go. I've seen toxic gym cultures.
Yeah, I mean, I had Rob from McDojo Life on here. I mean, he deals with toxic.
Yeah, I watched that whole episode. I enjoyed it too.
He deals with toxic gym culture all the time.
He's an interesting guy.
Dude, he is.
I can't
a
wait.
dude.
I can't wait to meet him at SMR Stack.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good time.
But anyways, but of like, oh, then they can't train there. They can't train there. I'm like, why? Like, what's the big deal? Did I cross train with people? I go. There's a guy in Franklinville, Connor Dixon. He runs the Cave Grappling Club. Like, I remember when he was a kid, and he's absolutely so much better than me now, right? But we'll train, and like, there's nothing, like, he's not trying to prove anything to anybody. He just like in his world, and he's a jiu-jitsu nerd, and like, I just like the fact that he's like 20 minutes from my house. I can just go in there. I can take my kids there. I have an open invitation anytime I want, right? He's really chill. I have other friends, different places. My buddy, he started a page called The Fight Voyager, and he's going to start doing like a vlog on YouTube. And he's going. You ever see that old? It's probably way before you've done jiu-jitsu. Rolled Up. Look up that show. It's interesting. But basically, he travels. It's a show of traveling to different gyms, training with them, interviewing the instructor and some of the practitioners and some of the athletes there, and then going to eat and like doing a review on the food. And that's all
cool.
it is. That's all it is. But like I said, I don't understand the whole, like, bro, this is not the 80s anymore. This is not the 90s of jiu-jitsu world. Like, this, everybody cross trains.
Yeah, that's why I love the Pittsburgh scene, man. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of gyms here, and depending on what day of the week, these athletes might be at Stout. Stout may be at Matt Factory. Matt Factory may be over here. Everyone kind of commingles. And then the interesting part is fight night, because there's MMA here, but there's also a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. Come fight night or competition night, it's like you're with your team, you're with your coaches, and you're like, all right, I know what you're capable of because you was at the gym a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But like, that's the beauty of it. And that's how you should approach life, right? It's like, hey, we're all trying to win. We're all trying to gain. We're all trying to get somewhere, right? And then when it comes to me and my time, well, now it's showtime for me.
Yeah,
and
that's all.
Let the best man win.
That's all it is.
But like, it's nothing personal.
No, we'll shake hands afterwards.
Yeah, we shake hands after. You know how many times I've gotten trashed? And I look at them, I'm like, and then we're laughing after. I'm like, man, I didn't expect that to happen. They're like,
I've done that so many times. I've sit there, I'm like, I don't know how you made weight, bro. And I told that to a big Russian, and his name is Anton. I love it. He's nice, very nice guy. I says, Bro, I don't know how you made weight because you're naturally probably walking around at it was 199 and under at that time, and he probably walked around at 250, like just a statue, just so chiseled, and he's super strong, super strong. I could not break his.
Did he cut that much?
Oh my god, he cut so much weight.
Yeah, and then you're like,
But I'm like,
tell me your secrets so I can use it for the next guy. How do you balance everything? What's like a typical week look like for you? You're in law enforcement.
Yeah.
You have a role in the church. You're a father. You're a husband. Like, how do you balance all of this? And what's your week look like?
this is something I get asked a lot. So, like I said, I'm very much into my faith. I actually know more about Bible than I do combat sports. I know more about that than probably anything else. I've spent many years studying and getting really good. And actually, at age 8, we did this thing called Bible quizzing. And basically, it was like almost like a game show. It was like a competition of like how much you could retain as far as like memorizing scripture. And I was one of those nerds. And I got like some kind of award in my district. We went to nationals. There's actually a whole thing about it. So I had trouble in school. I had trouble learning. In hindsight now, I probably had, I don't know if I have ADHD undiagnosed or what, but like I just wasn't interested, And I had a hard time like I would read and I couldn't retain. I couldn't understand.
You'd read it multiple times.
And I'm reading it.
What am I
and then I'm
reading?
going back and I'm reading that paragraph and I'm zoned out and I'm stuck on the same line. I don't know what that is, but I have that. It's gotten better. But actually studying the Bible helped me learn. So I learned how to learn through that. And guess what? When I figured that out, something happened in my brain. I can't explain it, but I actually learned I could somehow learn everything else. Well, I also think that the public school system at the time, they didn't know the things they know now. So they put me in special ed. They did. And my dad came in, he's like, you don't realize how smart my kid is. And he went in there, he showed me like all these awards I had accumulated in a short amount of time. I'm like, yeah, he memorized so many hundreds of verses and does this, and he can quote them verbatim. He knows exactly where they are. And I basically know a lot. Well, I spent a lot of time in it. But I'm a really big believer. There was Jimmy Pedro? He's the head of, he's a judo legend. And he was the former USA judo coach.
I've seen his face because
you see him.
My remembering is not good.
Yeah. But I guarantee you'd recognize him if you see like Travis Stevens. He was his coach. Anyways,
Okay.
So Jimmy Pedro was on a podcast, and I think it was called Take It Uneasy podcast. But he was talking about his philosophy with his athletes, and I just ran with this ever since I heard this. He believes in this principle called parallel pursuits. So what that is that basically the idea of you have different things in your life that you compartmentalize. You have different things in your life. You have relationship goals. You have career goals. You have maybe some spiritual development. You have things within your education goals, your hobbies, right? These things are all happening simultaneously, right? Health goals, et cetera. Fill in the blank. You may have 5 or 10 different things going on in your life, but there's always some kind of progress you can make in something, right? So basically, the idea is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't do just one thing, because he goes, I've seen, and this is according to him, he's seen athletes try to go for the Olympics and they fail short, and they've put everything into it. They've sacrificed more, arguably more, and they put more focus in it than Kayla Harrison or Travis Stevens, because they only had one thing, and it was judo. And his philosophy says, don't do that. He says, have this, have that, have this, have friends, relax, right? Have a life, because you're going to have bad days. And now it's like you're borderline suicidal when you get thrown. Right? You're into your own head. You're in your own head instead of like live life, like live the whole human experience. And I believe that to be a complete man, there's spiritual development, there's intellectual development, there's social development. There's all these different things going on in your life. Like, I write poetry. Like, I write poems that nobody knows about. And people are like, well, that's a little weird, you know? But it's like, no, I'm in tune with that. I'm in tune with the artistic side, right? I enjoy music. I do different things, but it's part of the human experience, right? Because you're not just a body that has a soul. You're a soul that's in a body. You like this, whatever, like when you're articulating, that's you. Like your words are an extension of you, right? Your thoughts, that's you, right? And we can say it's in the brain, we can say it's in the heart, we can say whatever, but that's you, is your thoughts. Like that's what you have. That's the only proof of what you are, right? And those words come from thoughts. Those words become actions. Those actions become habits. Those habits will basically be the predictor of your reality and your destination, right? But it all starts with a thought. So, but it's parallel pursuits. It's this idea that I may have 2 or 3 of those things on my list just go bad that day, and it's a flop. Boss got on me. Wife's yelling at me. I choked the accountant out though. You know, I choked out the 45-year-old divorced father of 4. You know, yeah, it's like all the memes have. But you know, something good is going to happen every day. You woke up, you have life, right? That's good. That's a great start, right?
That's the best way to start your day.
Absolutely. You woke up today. Who knows what's going to happen? And the way I see it is every day is an adventure, and I'm just waiting to see what my purpose is for today. And I walk by faith. I plan things, but they're contingency plans. They can move, right? Nothing is set in stone. And because I don't know, I'm a human. I have a 3-pound brain. I don't know it all, right? And because I don't know it all, I realize I don't know it all. I just keep trying to get better.
Prepare yourself for the opportunities to come.
Yeah.
You know, we hear walk by faith and people think that's an excuse to do nothing and wait for things.
No.
Well, that's actually the opposite.
It's the time to hustle.
It's
time to hustle.
Leave no stone unturned. Prepare yourself, because when presented with opportunity, now you're ready to accept that opportunity and make the most of it. Or you take it and you learn, quote unquote, fail because
AKA lose
because you haven't done the things necessary to prepare you for that opportunity.
You know, my current pastor, he told me something. He says, and he preached on this. He says, one of the biggest shames you could have in a human life is dying with potential. Dying not knowing why you were meant to do this, right? Go in the grave empty of all your potential. So I live that. I try to. And that's why I live that fulfilled life. I may only get 3 to 6 hours of sleep every night.
Same.
Right?
You know what? There'll be a day where I get to sleep forever.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I get it. Everyone sends me the sleep podcast. Like, that's the joke now. People are like,
yeah.
Oh, listen to this sleep podcast. It's very interesting. I don't think you think it's interesting. I think you're telling me I need to sleep. But guess what? There's too many things to do and not enough time to do them. Okay. I got my kids, man. I got my wife, and I'm like, I want to take them on my adventures. You know, we were able to go to Canada during spring break, and I was there teaching C4C. I was there hanging out with Chad Lyman and all those other guys. So you instruct for C4C as well. Look at you. Yeah. Mr. Adventure.
And it's like, but they're like, yeah, we'll take care of the company pays for the Airbnb. I got permission from my work for secondary employment, so I'm on their list, right? And it's like, life is good, bro. And but I want to take them on adventures, right? I want to be like, man, remember when Dad took us here? When they took us here, you know, that's part of it too. That's one of my pursuits. That's one of those parallel pursuits. Is like my kids, my relationship with my kids. Dude. That's my legacy.
I didn't get to do any of that.
Yeah.
Growing up, you know what I mean? Like, I was in survival mode. So now I have the opportunity where I get to do that. You know, I get to take my daughter to places she's never seen, go to different states, go to different experiences. And like,
Yeah.
you know, one of my captains made a joke to me that he's like, is work getting in the way of your things? You know? And it's like, I laughed. I'm like, no, why do you say that? Because the conversation was, I have a podcast with Kevin Donaldson coming up.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about that. So I was talking about that. And then I mentioned that I started a second podcast, Cop Out.
Yeah.
You know, and the captain's over here and this. And it's all been approved, right? Like, my job has to hate me. Like, how do you show up to work, take overtime? Like, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
I show up to work, I take all the overtime I can. I'm always going.
Yeah.
So he stops. He's like, is work getting in the way of your life? I'm like, nah. This like, I enjoy it. I love it. Everything I pursue and I do, it's because I'm choosing to do it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a place where I come and it bothers me when cops go to work and like, they treat us
I
as a
hate
9 to
being
5.
here.
Then leave.
Then why are you here?
Because there's people dying to get in the door.
Yeah.
Like, leave. I thoroughly love the work I do in the department I'm at. So I'm like, nah, it's not getting in the way.
I resonate with that because it's like there's been days, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm like, man, I feel like taking a mental health day because I've been beat up, And it's like, I can't do it.
I can't either.
I can't do it.
I can't either.
And once in a while you need those days. But it's like the other day I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what, man? I want to be with my boys. I want to be with my boys and girls, And I'm like, I want to be amongst my people. These are my people. This city is my responsibility. And that's how I look at it. Right? We are really like Batman. Should be. Right?
Yeah.
I just want to rapple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's so true too. Like, I go to work and like I'm at the park, right? I'm one of the dudes go and kid comes up, and that's another thing. Like, if that doesn't bring you joy, you bringing someone else joy, like what else is there? I'm and we have the Bad Boys theme song on our car. So as soon as you click at the radio,
bro, I put that on the stereo. I put that on blast.
Well,
on the
it's
megaphone.
programmed.
Oh yeah,
it's programmed in our box.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So literally click a button and it plays. I go to the park.
We need to get that for our department.
Do it. So just a computer program. It's already in there. You just have to upload it. So all these departments have Bad Boy theme songs now. But going to the park, seeing the kids run up to the car.
Oh, it's so great.
Like, I get out. I'm talking to the kids. I'm making jokes. I'm giving them my best material, and they're laughing.
Yeah.
You can't go into your car upset you're at work anymore.
Oh man, don't take yourself too serious.
Yeah. Like, dude, you get to do this. We get to be on this podcast. We get to work. We get to do things.
I get to be here.
Yeah, you get to drive 5 hours at 1 a.m. to be here, bro.
I'm so privileged. I'm blessed to be on the grind. And I've heard that. I've heard one friend tell me that, like, hey man, just don't forget, you're blessed to be on that grind. And like, I'm young, man. I'm full of energy. Like, I can't stop.
Dude,
like,
why stop? There's so many things to do, and it's like, I
don't think I'm going to slow down anytime
I have
soon.
to do this, or I get to do this.
Man, I love it.
I get to wake up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym.
What I don't like is I don't like being around negativity. I don't like to hang around negative mindsets. So I don't.
Yeah, anything that can poison this 3-pound brain.
I protect my brain, bro.
Same.
I protect it, and I have certain people I have positive conversations with, and I just try to spread it. And like I said, and I've caught myself around negative people, and next thing you know, I'm grouchy.
Well, we're all susceptible to it. That's the thing.
It's contagious.
You have to be aware of that. And I'll remove myself real quick.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the powwows that happen on midnight shifts, right? Like, I'll be there and I'll just get up. They'd be like, hey, you're everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm not gonna sit around and fucking bitch and complain for 12 hours.
I recently have just basically done everything I can to be on the road as long as possible, and I'll do my reports in my car, and if I can,
you're like this.
I start getting the Batman neck. So
you know what I'm buying? You know what I'm buying? I'm buying a little mic.
Yeah,
and because we have voice
action.
Yeah. So like I find this on the keyboard by accident on the laptop, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's gonna save me so. No mic input. I'm like, are you serious? Does it have a built-in mic?
Are you in the ChatGPT club yet?
I use ChatGPT for everything, especially involving the podcast, bro. You think I came up with these talking points, man?
Well, I don't know. I just thought you were a smart dude.
I am a smart dude. I use my resources. So I type it because I got to prompt it.
Yeah.
And I'm being transparent, right?
Yeah.
Use what you got.
For sure.
So I type in, I got my spiel of what the podcast is, the kind of the spirit of the podcast, the goals of the podcast. Hey, my next guest is T-Ball. This is who he is. That's the form you provided. Hey, this is what he's about. This is the things he's interested in. These are the topics I would like to discuss during the podcast. Can you formulate an outline to facilitate an engaging conversation? And then I do all that, and then I send it to you so you have a heads up. And I always tell people, don't look it over just so you can. That's more of like a, oh man, I don't really want to talk about this, or I want to make sure we mention this. That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, I'd completely disregard it. Like me going through that process, reading it, cleaning it up,
just have that in your head.
Now I have that in my head. Yeah. And sometimes we're here and I'm like, my ADHD gets me. I'm like, what are we talking about?
I think I got it too.
So it just helps me kind of like, because they say what you say becomes, what you speak becomes. And if I never do this process, who knows how the conversation goes? Maybe it'll be interesting because I can be everywhere, but it's not going to be organized, and it kind of does a disservice to people.
I think it helps. It's just like when I'm prepping for sermons and stuff, I'll have an organized outline. I'm like, I don't follow it sometimes, but it's in there.
It helps.
It's here. So I prep the lesson ahead of time. I'm like, it's there. So
so ChatGPT. I don't use it for.
I was gonna make a joke. Are you writing reports with it?
Nah,
I'm hearing a lot. I'm hearing a lot of people are trying that, and it's getting kicked back, or just things are getting all messed up.
Just like
that's crazy.
This is the way I look at it. If you're using it for a small report, just do the paragraph.
Yeah, that's all it is.
You're gonna do more work prompting. It's not
that hard,
and you have to be careful with how you prompt it, right? You can't put personal information, identifiable information. So now you're doing more work to stop you from doing work.
It's just easier to type it. Like I think this is like an old school thing. They would have the templates, like the report templates, and then there's just like insert name here, insert name there. I'm like, it's not cookie cutter.
Yeah, well now DAs are looking at that and be like, why does all your DUI reports look similar? Yeah. Well, because they're templates. Obviously, I
retype it every single time.
The nature's different, right? Like what I've observed, but like on this date and time, all that. And I've been. Your affiant is that whole that's all the same. Yeah. So like you don't even need ChatGPT for that unless it's to make it initially.
But it's just as quick just typing it.
Yeah. So I don't use it for work, but I use it a lot for definitely the podcast, helping guide my thoughts, or like I'll sit there. I'm like, hey, these are the goals I have for the podcast. How can you break down these goals and achievable that way I can look down. It almost becomes like my assistant, and then I can. But the important part is like that human aspect, right? Because what it kicks back, it's not going to be what you put out. You need to go through that, have the wherewithal to be okay. This applies. This doesn't apply. I don't like this, and you change it, make it yours, and then that's the thing you put out.
So actually, interesting. I just learned this recently because this came up. We have a forum in our NBC community, Martial Blade Concepts, and there's an individual that deals on a professional level with AI, and specifically when it comes to ChatGPT, they say it's designed to give you a little bit of false information because they're looking for the feedback to get better. So they're trying to seek what you're trying to. They want you to like pick out the fault, and I didn't know that until recently.
What did you hear about the attorney who did her? I don't know what it's called, but her dissertation or whatever in court using ChatGPT, and it referenced a false case study.
Interesting.
It created a case study, and her entire argument was based off of this case study.
Wow.
And the judge was like, what?
That's crazy. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, look that up. So that being said, if you try to never take the shortcut.
Oh no.
Never take the shortcut. Like if you're using ChatGPT, put the work in.
Yeah.
Make sure you're prompting it appropriately. Make sure you're reading through everything. Yeah. Make sure you're changing things that need to be changed and adding things that need to be added. It's a tool, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's only as good as user. Yeah, right.
That's all it is. If you're not prompting it appropriately, it's going to spit out garbage. But it's like a car versus a horse.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not going to be in a horse all day, every day. I'm going to get it into a car. It's a tool replacing the horse. It still requires me to get in there, drive, know how to drive, know all this, but it makes things more efficient.
Sure.
Right? And I love the argument. This just came, ADHD brain. Yeah. The iron sights versus optic.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to shoot the orange. If you could shoot with the orange, you don't need a red dot. Okay. Like, you can ride a horse.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can get in a car and get there faster and more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. It still takes training, but yeah, it's better. I have one of those like laser trainers, those gun trainers. There's actually a company
The
called
cert gun. That's
So
what I
there's
have.
actually a cheaper version of it, and the guy makes like any model you can think of, and he started this. It's called the Grip Keeper, and it retrofits in any holster, like they designed for that particular model. So he makes like the specific variants of Glocks, the variants of SIGs, et cetera, et cetera. And if there's something that he doesn't have on his site, he'll make it for you. So it's all like 3D printed, right? But it's like less than half the price of cert.
Yeah, we have cert pistols at our department. I love it. Like
They're great.
We also have a gym, so I'll train and I have a little target set up, which now someone has removed. But I'll have a little target set up in between sets. I'll do dry fire stuff. You know, and it's just a good way to keep your
Yeah,
dry
100%.
fire and stuff.
But the point I was getting to is like I practice my kinesthetic shooting, my point shooting, with that. So I'm not even looking at the sights, and I'm like, oh, I'm hitting that, and like anything in my room, I can pretty much hit without even looking at my sights.
Yeah, dude.
You get to a point where it's
all the
that
light
easy.
switches are gone.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
But that's the more you do it, the better you get
But
at it.
I look at it this way: whether there's irons on it or but when you look at optics, the only adjustment is the level where you bring it up to where you present it. You have to look over it. And people that are used to irons, they're used to bringing it all the way up, and they don't realize like bring it down a little bit. That will be there, but it just takes. You have to understand that.
Well, and another thing, I prefer the optic because we are target focused.
Yeah,
We're target focused. That's how we've been,
Yes.
right? If you're coming to attack me, I'm focused on you, the threat.
you're not looking at those sights.
I'm not looking at
Yeah, you're not
sights,
looking
right?
at
But
irons,
with iron sights, you have to be front sight focused.
yes.
You know, so it's adding an additional plane. And what I like is, you know, I just went to a class where all we did was like fast shooting, right? And I'm like, well, we're just putting lead down range. And he made a point. He's like, you want to get so comfortable, you want to get uncomfortable so you can catch up to the speed, and then we bring it back. But you want to just once you're looking at the threat. Once that dot touches that threat, you're breaking your shot.
Yeah.
You're not sitting here trying to find. No, that's how comfortable you want to be
It's
as soon
fast.
as, and trust it.
It's fast.
You know, and then he diagnosed you from that. You know, he's like, you know, if your round was above and right, you're focused on the dot. If your round is below and to the left, you're pushing. So it's a gripping issue. No, he was able to diagnose so many things from just watching you shoot. He wasn't even looking at your target. He would watch you shoot and he'd go, "You're high right." Yep, high right. So this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
how
that's
freaking
crazy.
comfortable are you
That's
with
crazy.
a firearm to be
And
able to do that?
that's the kind of guys you want to learn from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he's not a local guy.
Yeah.
So he actually went to New Jersey the next day to go teach a class over there, and I got to get his name. It's online somewhere.
I'd like to learn from him. Yeah.
No, good dude. But as we wind down, after this episode airs, people have listened to it. What's one message you want people to take, you know, and apply in their personal lives?
You know, the parallel pursuits is a thing. Being open minded, and you know, never stop reinventing yourself. If you look at my life as a martial artist, as a human, whatever. I always try to look at my weaknesses. I'm always looking because I always have a weakness. You're a white belt in something, right? Probably a lot of things. We're white belts. We're beginners in a lot of things. So the Japanese have this philosophy of beginner's mind, right? I got into kickboxing because I want to learn how to defend myself, and it was a sport, and it was a lot of different reasons. But I want to learn how to throw hands, right? Touch and not be touched. Got to a point where I got my national titles in that. I got into Jiu Jitsu because I realized I couldn't fight on the ground. I didn't have an answer for it. I learned that. Fast forward 16 years later, got my black belt. Prior to that, 2015, I did judo. I did that. I got my black belt in 4 years, 7 months under Ray Marquez. Learned that. Then I started to get into martial blade concepts. And what I like about martial blade concepts, it's not like knife fighting. It's self-defense using a knife you can legally carry. And everything can be done with a 2.5-inch blade because that's basically the federal limit. right? So I can go in a federal building and have 2.5 inch blade, and I can defend myself. And that logic, I don't know how much time you have, but if I can briefly just cover the logic real quick.
Absolutely.
I wanted to hit this real quick before we close out. What I like about NBC, so the Filipino martial arts, they have a lot of interesting things, but a lot of the stuff they do isn't consistent with use of force and self-defense laws today, especially here in the States. And it's in a time where it was war, right? So what I like about NBC is like once you've learned the logic of it, you're going to have a knife that you can legally carry. You don't want to start your self-defense argument with a felony in your pocket, right? So that's one part, right? The other thing is it's about stopping power. So it's not like we're not stabbing, right? We're actually cutting tendons and adjacent connective tissue. And this is actually what we're going to be discussing this in Seminar Stack, August 2nd.
August 2nd,
Yeah.
Grantville, PA.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested, we're going to thoroughly explain in detail the logic and how that's practical.
So, not to interrupt,
yeah.
is it going to be like a seminar like where people are engaging and training, or is it going to be more like a
No, it's going to be engaged.
Okay.
It's going to be engaged, but I'm also going to explain the logic along the way. So part of the logic, like Mike Janich, the founder, he's made like a logic, right? There's like a systematic logic to it, and like why he has the techniques that he chose to put in the system, and everything's kind of modular. Everything's like it funnels into the same kind of finish, so it keeps it simple under stress. That's what I like about it. So when you think about deadly force, when you think about fighting for your life, and deadly force is justified. First of all, you're not pulling that knife out unless deadly force is justified. How do I get to it, right? How do I get that to that reliably? So like you need to stage it in the same spot every time. So it's reliable, it's predictable. I need to have a predictable draw, right? Fine motor skills start going, right? So like the idea of opening it with your thumb, right? It may not always work. So what he's developed is an inertial opening that can open it reliably, right? And so you think about, you get that pucker factor when you're in fear for your life. The shoulders come up, your head drops a little bit. This kind of motion happens, and it's called the inertial opening, right? So it's like a scared opening, right? Self-defense is about stopping power. It's not about killing, right? So you can kill somebody and have ineffective self-defense because he's able to kill you before you get to stop him, you know? And there's been situations where people have taken a lot of holes. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it. And they walked away basically unscathed. Like they walked away fine, right? That's not always reliable. There's actually a chart that was made called the timetable of death. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I have not, but it sounds like my kind of chart.
So there was a, I believe it was Colonel Rex Applegate. I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to explain this.
No, yeah, please.
Yeah, I want to explain this because I wanted to hit NBC because we're going to teach it. Like people don't know it; they don't know what it is.
I've heard it. Here's the thing: I've heard about it, and it's not been one of the things where I was like, oh, let me look into it more. But the more you're talking about it, I'm like, this is the stuff I'm into.
Well, so my introduction. So yeah, but anyways, going back to the timetable of death, it was by Colonel, I believe it was Rex Applegate, and. Or if it was Fairbairn. It was one of those guys. World War I, World War II guys. And basically, like, when you think about the Bowie knife, the American Bowie knife, that was actually invented, like, after that. It was supposed to be for the war, but it was invented after the fact. But it's for, like, trench warfare. But their thing was, like, grab and stab. And, like, oh, if you can sever this artery, you know, basically he'll drop in, like, 5 seconds. And, like, he had a chart that was all made up of like different arteries in the body of like, oh, this is going to happen. He'll die in 7 seconds. He'll pass out in 5 seconds. And basically it wasn't any science at all behind it. Right. So what Mike did was he actually had a doctor. And by the way, you didn't account for blood pressure, elevated heart rate. You don't account for how big the guy is. Adrenaline, all that stuff. Right. So he actually had a more accurate, scientifically proven, quantified timetable of death. And it's more like 30 seconds at maximum heart rate that the guy is going to be walking and still swinging that hammer, bashing you, trying to bash you over the head with the hammer, or still trying to stab you with a knife for another 30 seconds after you've severed his carotid artery.
Which is a long
That's an
time.
eternity for yourself to fight for your life.
How many videos have we seen online where someone gets stabbed and they're running? Junior from New York, from the Bronx. You heard of that one when the one gang drug him out of the bodega? They stabbed it. They severed his artery. He got up, ran.
He ran
to the hospital and collapsed at the front of the hospital.
Yeah.
Which was a couple blocks.
Yeah.
So think about it. Other videos of people, you see their blood going out. Sorry if it's a little graphic.
Yeah, no,
blood going
it's
out.
reality, yeah.
And, they're walking around confused, and then they just, eventually, they just succumb to
They do. And so bleeding out is not really big in NBC. It is more of a side effect of this could happen in the scramble. But our main thing is we're severing tendons. So
That's wild.
So it's more like it looks different, but it's basically and think about when you're in court, right? Your Honor, I could have stabbed him in his neck, but I wasn't trying. My goal wasn't to kill him back. My goal was to stop him from trying to kill me, right? So it's moral, right? It's an ethical thing, right? For those of you who are concerned with that, but it's also a legally justifiable thing. It's like, yeah, I was just trying to stop him. I wasn't trying to kill him. I could have got his throat, but I didn't, right? My hands came up, boom, his arm was there, and we cut right inside here, right?
Well, that's your motor
And that's
skills right
what you
there.
need. You need this to wield a knife. That's the primary target is the flexor tendons, right? Right here. And then you also have, their secondary target is bicep, tricep. Because think about this hinging motion, right? In order to reciprocate the attack, we're coming here, right?
Someone
So
tried that with me.
And I'll show.
I got stabbed.
I
in
heard
the
you.
bicep.
I heard you. Somebody tried to stab you.
Yeah, that happens.
And I want to hear that story in a second.
Which one?
The one that
the work one or this one?
Well, that one.
Oh, this was past life. I'll tell you. after.
Maybe off camera.
Yeah, off camera. I'll tell you.
But so then the final one is the mobility kill, and that's the quadricep. So basically, it's 4 inches or approximately 4 inches above the kneecap, the patellar tendon, and it's a 60 ground downwards. And when you line up your bone structure, almost like a frame of Jiu Jitsu, I go from palm down to palm up, and I'm actually going right to the bone, right through the femur, and I'm just cutting all the way through. And what that does is you need your quads to support weight. So unless you can hop faster than I can run, I'm good. I have a mobility kill, right? So he calls that master technique. There's different ways. There's different ways to finish it. So I might be controlling the arm and finished in the arm and then go into the quad. I might be under the arm and I go here and I finish the quad. I might be just putting a hand up, right? But it all funnels. My hands might be in different positions at the time, and he might be depending on his angle, depending on my response. And by the way, there's like proactive responses, and then there's like a systematic way of like lowering your standards. So he says, like the public school system, he goes, when in doubt, lower your standards. And he's really big on that. So he's really big on like this. We train to a high standard, but then realistically, that's probably going to go down under stress.
Yeah.
Right. Your accuracy is not going to be there as much, right? You might not cut as deep as you like, whatever. I mean, the knife will work. It will work if you let it work. Like you don't have to muscle it. The knife will work, right?
I'm registering for this class.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, dude. Trust me. And then we travel too. We do seminars, me and Scott. So my introduction to NBC was from Johnny. So Johnny was he's a second degree black belt now, but he was a black belt in NBC before, and under Mike Jan. And the only way you get to hit certified, there's only so many fully certified instructors that have ever passed. And if you're not staying up to date, he basically retires you. Like you're honorably, like you keep the cert, you're still a black belt under him. There's no belt in it, but it's a certification. But it's emeritus, which is like the Latin word for you're honorably retired for the moment. You're not active.
Lighter loser.
Yeah. So then like your contact information on his site, like they can't reach out to you, they can't find you, right? But you went through it, but you have to go in and you have to test in Colorado, where it's 9,000 plus feet above sea level. He throughout the day will randomly test you throughout camp, which is in September. I'm going to this camp as well. So there's 2 stages. Like there's an associate level where like you basically do what's called a conga line, and they come at you with different. There's like so many flow drills in the system, and it's just to develop reaction time, like just to make your hands react better. And they're all based off of natural things. Like, for example, when you'll see this a lot, when people get stabbed in the neck, right? You'll see real raw footage where they'll look away and they'll put their hands out, right?
Yeah.
That's a natural thing. So Mike says, instead of coming up with some martial artsy move where we're going to do some fancy articulate movement, he says, why don't we just accept the fact that you're probably going to put your hands out, right? Under stress. But the only difference is face it and you have more structure, right? And now from here, knee, low line knee, we go to like a Kimura grip, boom, and we go to what's called a compression lock, right? So there's a way to transition to control that arm. If that fails in the middle of trying to control that arm, we have something called passing. We basically just expose only the outer parts of our arm, which is the extensor side. There's no bleed out concern here. And the only thing that he's going to be able to get is the ability for me to open up my hands all the way. That's all the extensors do. Everything else is functional. I can grab him. What I don't want is I don't want my flexors cut, because that's where arteries
Just
are.
keeping the grip.
Yeah, and that's the ability to grab. Because in a self-defense situation, I got to be able to grab, right? So we always go to our backup, boom, finger in the eye, get an angle, right? Get to a weapon or get out of there. So, but again, that's the systematic lowering of your standards. Like, we'd like to do this, or this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. But it flows.
Yeah, it creates that process for you
can
problem solve
on the fly.
On the fly,
right? And again, it goes back to concepts. It's martial blade concepts. It doesn't have to be
martial blade technique.
Yeah, it's not technique based, it's concept based. So anyways, I went through it, and so my introduction to it was, Johnny's like, come out with any angle. And he gave me like a trainer knife. He's like, just pretend you're going to stab me. Like, what's the natural way you would stab? So I'm just like, I'm going to grab his head and I'm just going to do this, right? And he had an answer for every angle I can come up with. Like, he deflected it, empty hand skills. He controlled the arm, and he got to like where basically it was like an arm bar.
With the old
yeah
armpit.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tourniquet that, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't choose it by mistake. I have the ShivWorks. I forget what he calls it. El Nino.
Yeah.
So you can just.
Yeah. That was a nice knife.
For dire circumstances.
Oh yeah. Well, things got bad.
Yeah.
If that comes to that. But yeah, that was my introduction, and then Scott Hughes, who's the guy who's going to be teaching with me, and at Seminar Stack. He's the guy that he learned from Johnny, but he continued to stay up to date. And every year, Mike is always updating it. He's like, we got a better way to do this year. And at camp, that's when he updates every concept. He goes, remember how we would do this? Well, this is just better. He goes, this is just a more efficient way to do this.
And there's something to be said about someone who can reflect on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
there's moves he's thrown out.
There's
moves he's thrown out because he's like, we had this one called Linda Blair. It's a long story why he called it that. But he's like, where we turn the skull away and all stuff like that. And he says, not a big fan of that because, like, yeah, it might work, and there's a thing to be said about turning the skull, but it's like, turning the spine and where you're making them weak, just like in jiu-jitsu. But he's like, yeah, that doesn't work. He came up with, what if somebody tries to take your back when you're trying to finish the quad? And it's like a wrestler switch. And he's not a grappler. But what he does, he's smart enough to see what's out there, like just martial arts in general, and say, okay, this is what people are doing today. This is behavior of violence as it evolves. And he's reviewing footage. Like, when he first started, he actually went to hospitals and he goes, you have any stab victims? And he would literally collect anecdotal data and say, like, oh, and he would go to the morgues and he'd say, people that died, they're getting hit here and they're not recovering. And people that are getting injured and they survived, they got hit here and they did okay. And then he got quantified that furthermore he put a lot of research into it. He is literally the John Danaher of edge weapons.
That's huge.
Yeah, he is. He's a genius. I would pick his brain, and I even picked his brain on, hey, my dad's got one arm. What does he do? Because a lot of these things takes 2 arms. And he goes, I'm going to get back to you on that. And then Scott trained with him in Florida, and he says, by the way, tell Tim I didn't. And this was like a year ago. I asked him. He goes, tell Tim I have not forgotten about his dad. We're working on it. He's thoroughly thinking about it. He goes, I'm not just going to put out just something that's just, not just thrown together. He thinks everything through. Everything he does is systematic.
And knowing guys like that,
yeah,
he's literally in his living room.
Oh yeah,
like, okay, so,
yeah,
like, and that's what I love because like those are the people I want to learn from.
He is a great human being. As smart as he is, as good as what he does.
He's gonna be at Seminar Stack.
He's not. I'm actually thinking. I'm trying to get him on the East Coast at our gym to do a seminar. I'll let you know. But he does travel. He does do seminars everywhere. But he's the man. Like he's the man that's
beautiful in the summer.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get something going. We got NBC and NBC guys in Pennsylvania.
Where at?
I think it's near
Harrisburg.
Close to Harrisburg.
It's not Pennsylvania. That's other side. We don't count that.
So we have something like that in Jersey, North and South Jersey.
Dude, I just had a conversation.
We're not the same.
This is so funny. Who was I just talking to? I was just talking to someone. They all blend in, but
yeah.
Oh, Eric Crafton.
Yeah.
He was like, North and South. Yeah, but like the debate is whether Middle Jersey is a thing.
There's no Central Jersey. It does not exist.
Oh.
It does not exist. But I like NBC.
Sorry, Kay.
It's great. It's like, and when you look at it, some people, jiu-jitsu guys are great for being critics. They're like, oh, that looks like, Krav. That looks like this. That looks like that. It looks like it won't work. And to somebody, like, you look at him, it's like, okay, here's this guy wearing carpenter jeans and a polo, and he's pulling out this trainer knife, and I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes, but then you listen to what he's got to say, and it's like, there's more to this guy.
Dude, that's the best.
And I love the fact that, again, he's evolving. When I say he's evolving, the last 3 years of NBC, it's completely different. It is totally updated. And I went back to John because Johnny hasn't been up to date with it. He goes like, dude, I've only been away for 5 years. I really have been doing this for 5 years, and this is totally different. But it's like, it's smooth.
He has to recertify.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Johnny boy.
But
he's gonna kick my ass if he ever sees me.
He's a scary fellow. He's a scary fellow.
He's like, what were you saying on the podcast?
He says,
Johnny boy.
He says, say something now.
I will. That's my problem. My mouth gets me into trouble. But no, that's so August 2nd.
Yeah.
Grantville Seminar Stack.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
What are you guys? I know they have like a free group of seminars, and then they have ones that you can register for. So
if you go on the Seminar Stack website, we go on the page, they have a link on the to the website. From my understanding, they have anybody can sign up for anyone, and they do have so many different ones. They have like yoga, stretching, nutrition. There's a bunch of free ones. I think ours is $50 to register for our NBC.
Which for a seminar,
it's great.
It is great.
It's great. It's gonna be, and the thing is, so going back to, he's very picky. Like, he's very close knit. He doesn't just certify anybody. There's only been 47 people to ever be certified.
So go there.
Only 47 people that be fully certified.
Well, this isn't a certification.
No. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm talking about. Yeah, this is just a seminar.
This
is
just a seminar.
To be certified, fully certified instructor is like, he says, like, you are now dubbed like instructor. He goes, I'm very picky. So I went through 2 of these cycles, and you have to space them a year apart. Where you come in there, you go through, and then he has this thing called the deck of death, where it's everything in the system, and it's like this thick. And he goes, any topic in the system, pick a card, any card. And I have to teach it in front of 100 people at camp while he's breathing down your neck. And he goes, here's the microphone, teach. He goes, and then we're going to have questions. And and it's on the spot.
So you have to be about that life.
You have to be about it, you know? And then at the very end, you have the conga line. Then he does what's called chess games, flow drills. People's like, oh, that looks like you're playing patty cake. It's not choreographed. It's a set of, he randomly switches the flow drills. There's like 17 flow drills in the system.
It's like shadow boxing.
Yeah, but then you're reacting to these different things, right? You have to have your hand, like, don't get stabbed in the neck, don't get stabbed in, like, don't get stabbed, right? And we're going for counter. And then he says, finish it. And you have to time it to where you actually finish it, right? You simulate like a mobility kill. Put your knife away in your pocket. While you're doing that, he's trying to stab you. You have to stop it. Collect the arm and take him down. And he has to do it to you because he has to feel if you've really got it. Under stress when you're exhausted.
There's something to be said about that process and that pickiness, quote unquote, for lack of better words. Because oftentimes what we see, especially in policing, you come for 5 days, you're an instructor, enjoy. And
this is not that.
And it's crazy because like you're stamping your name on that. Yeah. And now you're trusting them to teach. And granted, I understand the premise. You know, if you train a lot, if you keep up with it, going to this certification is simply just learning their system. And then from there, you hope they take it and continue to push it. But that's not what happens. That's not the spirit of what actually occurs.
And I like that he reserves the right to say, I can change your status to emeritus at any time or revoke it. Like if there is some disparaging of character, you did something like very immoral or something like that. He's like, I don't want you to represent me. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, he's a super awesome dude. He would be a guy to pick his brain.
Bring him out. If you set the meat, I'll do the Greek.
He's
that was corny.
I'm very blessed, man. I like between him, Chad Lyman, you know, like I know the head of these guys. I'm friends with these guys. Like I'm very blessed. And like I said, I think it just goes back to just I don't politic my way out of anything. I'm just the theme, relentless, right?
Hey.
Little plug. But I think that life is just more enjoyable when you're around these people with this not a similar mindset, meaning like, but
similar objectives, similar goals,
similar goals and values.
Yeah,
right. Because we all make each other better. We all contribute something to each other's life, and
that's where I think the happiness comes from. When you can be an asset to someone, there's fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I don't care, and then I'll do you one better. When you can be an asset to someone in something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Now life is looking really good.
For sure.
And now you're surrounded by people with the same values and ethos and mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're cooking.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of happiness, a lot of joy, a lot of fulfillment, a lot of purpose. You know, and that's where I guess that's where you have to find. First, find what tickles your fancy. What keeps you passionate, what keeps you happy, what keeps you going. Not keeps you happy, but that thing worth fighting through, that thing worth fighting for, right? Because policing, I'm not happy every time I'm there, but I love it so much. It's worth it.
Yes,
it's worth it.
It's a net positive.
Yeah, it's a net positive. Yeah. Find that thing that gives you a net positive.
Yeah.
Find a way to be an asset in that, and then surround yourself by similar people. That's the formula of life. I think I just discovered it.
I like it.
I'm gonna trademark that. Please don't use it. No.
Well, you figured it all out.
That's all it is, bro. Where can people follow you online if they want to learn more about you, Martial Blade Concepts, and what's going on? MartialBladeConcepts.com. So how I learned that is how I got the equivalent of black belt in that system is I learned online. There's a subscription plan where you can basically, it's almost like BJJ Fanatics, but it's for that. And it thoroughly explains it. It's great. I highly recommend it if you guys are interested in that. Instagram, I'm on there mainly more than anything else. Holy Roller 91. No underscore or anything like that. If you have more questions about training in general or anything we talked about or anything else that maybe we didn't get into as much, I was pretty decent responding. So. He does. He's very responsive, and every time I message him, Seminar Stack, he's commenting on everything, very active. And I appreciate that, man. Especially like when I invite someone to come on and I get the vibe that they are like excited to come on.
Yeah.
amazing.
I've never done this before, and I appreciate. First of all,
time?
yeah, I'm very thankful. I appreciate being on your show.
Of course,
and
brother.
Awesome studio. I wanted to. I feel like there's more that we probably could have got into, but
we can always go, dude. We can. I'm telling you.
I want to talk about my dad, my dad's story, but that maybe another time.
What's up with your dad?
Yeah, and it's he's funny. He's a different character. But I think if you pick his brain a little bit, you'll see what makes him tick. But that's,
we have dad on an episode,
and he actually lives only an hour from here. So
I mean, that's kind of, it has to happen then.
Yeah,
bro. So, I'm open to talking with anyone. The way you talk about your dad, if you're half the man that he is,
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
man.
let's do it.
I think it'd be worthwhile.
Or if he's half the man you are.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Well,
yeah, because obviously if you're half the man he's pretty freaking dope, dude. So, yeah. Math ain't my thing.
It's all right.
No, brother. I do want to say thank you for coming on. You drove 5.5 hours.
5.5 hours. Yeah.
1 a.m. Wifey's in the car. Like,
she's committed, man. She's a keeper.
If that's not relentless.
Yeah. She's relentless. She's putting up with me.
I don't know what it is, bro. And
we're gonna go somewhere to eat, and then we're probably gonna drive back. We've done it before,
bro. You gotta hit a Permanis. Yeah. You gotta hit.
Oh yeah, what do you recommend around here?
So I hate being put on the spot.
Something good. Just pick something good.
Permanis is the Pittsburgh staple. It's a Pittsburgh.
Permanis?
Permani Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have like these sandwiches with like coleslaw in them.
Oh, really?
And dude, it's just, they have a lot
good
of
wings.
Fire wings.
Okay, I might do the wings.
Dude, if you want to do something cool, go to the Strip District.
Okay.
Look up the terminal.
Okay.
So many things you can do there. Restaurants.
Nice.
A little putt. There's so many.
I've only been to Pittsburgh one time.
Well, we're gonna change that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate I gotta race out of here after this because I'd be like, yo, I'll show you the spots.
Yeah, for sure.
We just got to plan it where you come down. This is what we'll do. You come down. We do no cop out podcast, and then I'll show you around the city.
I'm down for it.
Golden, we're known as the city of bridges.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Well, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Tell the
it.
wife I said thank you.
Absolutely.
This is the one with Timmy Ball, T-Ball, and we're out, brother.
Yes,
Later.
sir.